I'ma cock my nine, mama. I'ma cock my nine. I'ma cock my nine, mama. I'ma cock my nine.
Okay guys, just a 5-minute warning. We are almost ready to kick off Top 32 battle action here at IDS Round 1 2025. So 5-minute warning, grab your seats, grab your spot on the bank. We'll be ready to rock straight into battle action in about 5 minutes time. Thank you.
Would you feel better if I said that this time?
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to round one of the Irish Drift Series, brought to you by Lucky Day Competitions. We are almost ready to go with battle action in the top 32. If you're new to drifting, the battles is the most exciting part of it. Basically, two cars on the track at the same time, one in the lead position, one in the chase. Lead driver goals: complete a 100-point run, essentially trying to do what they were doing in qualifying. The chase driver's responsibility, or their goals, is to try and mimic what the lead driver does and drive as close to the lead driver without hitting them. It's a little bit more technical than that, but we will explain it through the course of the battles, and we will break it all down for you, and we will go to the judges for any of the more tricky bits, Mike, that need a little bit of more in-depth explanations. Talking points from the round so far: Ryusei Akiba, #1 qualifier on a track he's only driven on twice, out-qualifying the Northern Smoke Machine, Dwayne McKeever. He's certainly one to watch here, and he goes up against Damien McKiernan in the very first battle in the top 32. Top 32 will bring us into the top 16, top 16 to top 8, then it's into the final 4, and that's when the real business end of the competition starts, Mike, when we start going down to those final few battles where the drivers will be battling it out for the champagne and the big paycheck and a chance to get some silverware and top step on the podium. Not to mention, of course, it is round 1 of a 5-round championship, so important championship points up for grabs here over the course of the next 2 hours.
Absolutely, Ed. And you mentioned 5-round championship there, so each round is so important. It's not as if you have like a Formula 1 season of 20 plus rounds. Each round of the 5-round championship being so important. And you know, the drivers that want to progress and win this series really have to get the scores on the board from right now here in Battle Action. And I'm sure that we're going to be seeing a fantastic evening's entertainment here as we go to our first battle here. Speaking of entertainment, it's Ryusei Akiba putting in that crazy 96 point something qualifying run there against 32nd position qualifier Damien McKiernan.
Well, on a track that everybody else seemed to struggle on, Ryusei Akiba thrived on. Now, what can he do in the battles as he takes on Damien McKiernan, the pro rookie this year? Touch of understeer for Ryusei, but Damien McKiernan breaking numbers big.
Yeah, Damien McKiernan just couldn't live with the entry there of Ryusei Akiba. Huge flick entry from the Japanese driver. Maybe a little bit of a correction at clip 2, but Damien McKiernan just got caught a little bit there, could not stick with the entry of Akiba, and as a result, that crazy entry of Akiba did enough to put McKiernan at a 10-0 disadvantage here, Eddie. And as you mentioned, it can be a little bit complicated, but we'll explain everything as it goes along. It's, you know, you could explain this to the ends of the earth before the battles, Eddie, but you know what? It can just get long and boring. It's easier to explain it as the battles run on. So basically, 2 runs, lead becomes chase on the second one, and then you kind of score it in old school. It's like there's 10 points on the line. It can be 5-5, 6-4, 7-3, whatever. But this one is going to be a 10-0 because Damien McKiernan basically went off track, scoring himself a 0, and Ryusei Akiba being rewarded for his huge entry here. McKiernan just couldn't live with it and is on a 0. So basically this time all Akiba has to do is put in a nice safe run behind McKiernan, and he should see himself straight into the top 16, Eddie.
Yeah, and it is important to note that in this situation where we do have, say, a 10-0, so to speak, advantage in favour of one driver, when they now go into the chase position, it is important that while they don't need to be as close or as aggressive as they normally might be, they shouldn't avoid chasing too hard because they can be penalised for being in what we would refer to as an inactive chase. So if something like that happens, we will talk you through it a little bit later. Here we go, second half of this one. McKiernan to lead them in. Pressure on as Ryusei comes hunting for the door, Mike.
Yeah, Akiba doesn't have to go this hard here, guys, but maybe he's putting himself in with some twin battle practice for later on, because he knows he's going to know from his spotter that he's at a huge advantage here. But Akiba is still putting it on the door. McKiernan, look at this. McKiernan now gets that perfect qualifying run, but Akiba is right there with him, and that is our first twin battle in the bag.
Yeah, what a way to kick off the top 32 here in Mondello Park for round 1 of the Irish Drift Series here at Japfest. And barring any major surprises, it should be a straightforward decision here, and it is Ryusei Akiba moving on to the top 16, and top qualifier, making things look pretty straightforward in the first battle, and he moves on into the first driver into the top 16, as I say, and Ryusei Akiba showing that he is looking very comfortable on this track here in Mondello Park. So we move it back to the start line where our second battle is just warming up. It will be Jason McInerney to take on Nicky Davey.
Okay, so Eddie, it is, as you said, time for our second battle. So that first battle was on paper the furthest distance that could be between both drivers in terms of qualifying position. It was first versus 32nd. This next one is as close as it can be. It is 16th versus 17th. It is 16th position qualifier McInerney versus 17th position qualifier Nicky Davies. So it is going to be a very tight battle on paper, at least. Two quite similar cars, both big turbo 6-cylinder engines. Of course, we have a BMW chassis versus a Silvia. the age-old battle in Irish drifting, and each camp having their own fans. I'm sure the BMW people will be cheering on Jason McInerney here, and the Nissan faithful will be cheering on Nicky Davies. Nicky Davies leaves the line early in order to get the jump here. He is allowed to do so. McInerney now puts foot to floor and gets ahead of him, and he's after pulling out a big gap on the Sylvia here, Ed.
Yeah, and I think that's the danger of making that jump, Mike, is that if the lead car is a little bit slow out of the blocks, you can get caught by lifting halfway up the straight to allow them to overtake. So Davey perhaps getting caught with that one. Right idea. And now Jason McInerney is really flying here so far this afternoon, and he, picks up where he left off in qualifying. Another strong performance from him in the lead position. And Nicky Davey, this one's certainly not over by any stretch of the imagination here, Mike, but Nicky Davey with some work to do in the lead position. You can see he does get some proximity.
If you watch Nicky Davey though, there his line, he was very shallow off of the whole lot of outer zone 4, and again there for a lot of outer zone 5 or 6, sorry. So I think he's going to bleed off even a lot, even though he got a proximity advantage there at the end, but I think he's going to bleed off a lot of the points because he cut the track a lot in order to do so. The judges, if possible, do want to see the cars sticky on the qualifying line. If they do make up the proximity and cut the track, they're not going to get penalised for it, but they won't get rewarded for it either as such, if you get me. So basically you have to be in it from the get-go, and unfortunately there Nicky Davey just left a good bit of a gap open up on initiation there from Jason McInerney and paid the price. I would say it's a good advantage to McInerney. So once again, guys, IDS 2025 is brought to you by Red Bull, Lucky Day Competitions, ECU Master, GMD Tire and Service Centre, Yugen Factory, TS Drift Days and DriftMagazine.eu, and Strom Wheels Turn Distribution, Nisuba, Group D, CDM Sport and Shift AM. As we are ready to go for the second half of the battle here between Jason McInerney and Nicky Davey. Nicky Davey to lead us in. Now lead becomes chase, and Nicky Davey will lead us in over the hill. What McInerney needs to do here now, Eddie, is give the judges nothing to think about. He's going to have to put in a good chase, mirror the lead car, and have tight proximity in with Nicky Davey, and it should be an automatic decision then for the judges.
This is like, when you have a 12-round boxing match, you don't want to leave it in the judge's hands at the end. You don't want to let it go to a decision. You want to just land that knockout blow, and that's what McInerney needs to do here. He has the advantage, we feel, from where we're sitting, Mike, from that first run, but he needs to cement it here in the chase position, and this is where he can get all the brownie points by diving onto the door, putting the pressure on, and, as we say, cementing that result. He makes a big dive now, shoots forward as he surges onto the door of the S15 of Nicky Davey. Can he stay there in the pocket? He certainly can, as he once again dives onto the door of the Cara Karting S14. Jason McInerney, like a man possessed, pushes Davey across the line. Mondello Park, let's hear you make some noise.
So remember, guys, this is just top 32 action, yet it traditionally heats up once the top 16 gets going. Great battle there for the top 32. I did think that McInerney might have been a bit shallow there on the dive between 3 and 4, but overall I think he had really good proximity there as we watch the replay and just wait for the judge's decision to drop in here, and we will relay that to you instantaneously once we know. But of course, Eddie, the three judges are mic'd up together. They're in discussion here and they're having a chat about that run. We can also go to a one more time. If the judges can't split the drivers, we can run them again up to a maximum of 2 one more times. So we can go to a one more time, and we can announce that going through to the top 16, it is Jason McInerney goes through to the top 16 as expected, and Nicky Davey will have an engine, a new engine to build. In fact, not even an engine to rebuild, because I believe there's nothing left, unfortunately, of his son Jake's engine. But he had a good showing in qualifying, but that is all she wrote for Nicky Davey. Jason McInerney will now take on Ryusei Akiba in the top 16. That'll be
Certainly
interesting.
Will. We'll go back to the start line where a very interesting battle awaits us. Harry Kerr in the borrowed car to take on Stephen Halfordy in his new car, same chassis as before, but new engine underneath the bonnet of that new build.
These would be good buddies as well, Eddie.
They're very good buddies, and know each other's driving style very well. But basically new machinery for both drivers here. And Harry, of course, second in the championship last year. Halfordy, a former Pro 2 champion back when it was the Drift Games Nationals. But a big straight in here for Halfordy. Looks like he shuts it down, Mike. He shut it down.
Yeah.
Problems possibly with the car. Very unfortunate with Stephen. Hasn't had a massive amount of time to test that car. I think only one day out up until this point. So possibly just dealing with some gremlins. But
yeah, it's so common to see in a new build, and these cars are generally built at home, and I thought he looked like he might have been lacking a bit of horsepower as well there. Typical Stephen Halferty would be right on the door there and would be, on the outside zone, and so it came to pass. Definitely an issue there. Hopefully nothing too major for Stephen Halferty. Could be as simple, Eddie, as a blown off boost pipe or something like that, hopefully. But of course, guys, we do have as well the option for the drivers to take what we call a 5-minute rule in
and I'm just going to cut across. I'm just looking at the body language of Halferty there. Just looks a bit dejected, Mike. It doesn't look as though he's... is he getting the radio? Is he on the... No, look, the hands are down by the side. If he was going to call a 5-minute rule...
Yeah, he's a very dab hand mechanically as well. Stephen will know exactly what's going on as he talks here to Harry. Guys, he's throwing the hands up there. Guys, can we hear a round of applause, please, for Stephen Halferty, who looks like he's in... having a couple of issues here, but a top competitor and a top driver building a new engine. He said he's going to take it to the very top with a new engine build. Never quite had the horsepower ready to challenge for those top positions. Was always a driver capable of doing it, but never had the power. Said he's going to build a 2JZ. Again, these engines are built at home. These cars are built at home generally in this championship in Ireland. So often it can go to a last minute. And are we hearing, is it something very simple, Eddie? Are we wrong here? Did he just pull out because of a debeaded tyre? No mechanical issue except the debeaded tyre. Is that correct?
That's what we're hearing, Mike, yeah. So, something as simple as that. And as I say, you can get that sorted. But unfortunately, what that will mean is he comes back out to what we'd refer to as a 10-0. So 10-0 in favour of Harry Kerr. Harry Kerr will be... he'll welcome that. It's a nice way to start off your campaign. But we move it back to the start line. We're going to move it on. We'll revisit that battle.
Yeah, look at Kuba warming his front tyres here as well, guys. Of course, scrubbing in the rear tyres. They're very, very slippery out of the molds. But if you watch on the live stream, or if you can see the start line there, the car is pushing around the front tyres, making them understeer. It actually creates, it does two things. It scrubs all the marbles, all the loose rubber off of the front tyre, and it actually puts some heat into the front.
Yeah, quite a difficult skill as well. And
it's a difficult thing to do,
It is a really difficult thing to do. And that is partly the reason why you'll see a lot of these cars understeering through that first corner, is because drivers find it very difficult to warm or get enough heat into those front tyres, and despite the fact that those tyres will be very grippy, when they're cold they really just don't work. They need to have a little bit of temperature in them. Here we go, Daryl Barnett to be let in by Jakub Kuschek. Here we go, Kuschek, look at the speed, Mike. He's so quick through that first section.
So quick, yeah. Nice entry there from both drivers, and a big dive now from Barnett, but he has to back out of it again a little bit. He surged towards the door there of Jakub Kuschek. Now Barnett pops back out of the smoke. He's looking for the door, Kuschek. He's starting to find it now. Yes, now he finds the door, Kuschek. A beautiful lead run there from Jakub. Maybe a slight correction at clip 2 there. We were just speaking of the front tyres. A little correction from Kuba, uncharacteristic actually for him at clip 2, but nothing major. And Barnett still in the chase there, nothing too bad.
You can just see he gets lost in the smoke here as he comes. But look at this. And then very clever, right? If that camera just stays there, shallows up the angle a little bit, makes the dive, gets his and then look straight onto the door there once again. Really nice from Daryl Barnett. But you'd have to say advantage probably slightly in favour of Jakub there. Did have that slight little wobble, as you mentioned, going through clip 2, but nothing major, and was strong from there. Maybe
6-4 so far to Kuba. Bit of a mistake from Barnett there around outer zone 4. Surged in, kind of had to back out of it, dropped the wheel. Kuba had the wobble on the way in, so I think Kuba looking very menacing there in his profile picture on the live stream as well. Unusually so, because he's actually a really nice guy, but he looks kind of dangerous there, actually.
They both have a little bit of a stern kind of look on their faces, yeah. So
maybe it's just a game face, maybe. Just game face, maybe.
The poker face.
Yeah, poker face. Put fear into the heart of your competitors. So we swapped them around, guys. We think maybe Kuba's at a slight advantage here. We'll have to go to the judges, of course, to confirm that after this battle. But it is still all to play for a place in the top 16, and in the top 16 parade in front of this huge Japfest crowd. Daryl Barnett leads us in, flicks the BMW in over the hill. Once again, adjusts slightly. Now Kuba will look for the door of the BMW. Is he going to find it, Eddie? He's not finding it, Eddie. Barnett is getting away from him here.
Yeah, Daryl Barnett now is starting to pull a gap, and he's showing how much pace he can have in that car. But here comes Kuba now making the big dive. Daryl Barnett could be deeper into that outside zone. Not the perfect line for him, but certainly this one, Mike, not as close, or sorry, maybe a lot more closer than it might have looked like it was going to be on paper.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Kuba's kind of making the charge in the last couple of seasons, but Daryl Barnett is a long-time veteran of this sport, and he's got a few tricks of his own up his sleeve.
He does, and as you said, he wasn't that deep there into Zone 6, but Kuba had a little wobble himself there on initiation around, just after initiation on 2, and completely sacrificed clipping point 3 in order to try to make up the proximity. So maybe getting caught out there a little bit by the pace that Barnett showed. So just waiting for the scores to drop in, and we can announce that the winner and going through to the top 16, it's Kuba. Jakub Krysiak goes through to the top 16. A very, very close battle, that one, but overall I think the judges just favouring Kuba there because of the couple of mistakes from Barnett and missing, as you said there, Eddie, just sacrificing Zone 6 there in the lead run a little bit as well.
So next on the line, it's it's a past star versus a future star here. Owen Magner taking on Brendan Stone, the former IDC champion way back in 2012, if my memory serves. Brendan Stone taking on, one of the rising stars of the sport, Owen Magner. What a bright future this young man has ahead of him, and he is coming up against, you know what, it's the experience versus the machinery and the drive of youth. And here we go. What can Magner do? He's the higher qualifier. He will lead them into the first half of this one.
Whoa!
Makes a big dive, make contact.
Oh, has there been contact?
Has there been contact? Well, there certainly has, but who's at fault is going to be the question there.
That is a big car to horse in over the hill in the chase position, and maybe he just couldn't get it stopped, and I think there was contact, but hang on here, we have to look at the initiation as well from Magner, ready to be sure that there was
and that's
nothing
the question.
funny.
It's you can see certainly a lot at catching. So was there slowing from Magner is the question.
Did Magner slow possibly?
So you are allowed a slight little slow at initiation, but you should be full on throttle.
I'm not sure. Maybe Magner looked to be in the corner and Stone was just coming in fast and couldn't get the Toyota slowed down. Oh, I'm not sure. The judges are going to have to look at this one over.
Did Magner have to lift? Was he going in too hard? And did he have to lift off? You can see now the smoke starts.
Double initiates a little bit there, kind of just gained the angle second time
look
round.
Here, look.
Yeah, so Magner
before the contact,
Magner
the wheels
kind of
slow
did,
up.
Possibly
and
something.
The smoke stops. There's the smoke trail. Fades a little bit.
In judging, or in the briefing, sorry, there is of course deceleration zones and full throttle zones. This would be a full throttle zone, Eddie.
It would be, and not to try and be judges here, it's very split second, but you can see from all angles. It'd be interesting to see, was there something that happened inside the car? Could it have been a mechanical problem?
Yeah, there's a recovery truck here. Maybe Magner lost power or something. I'm not sure. Brendan is a very seasoned competitor too. So.
Guys, they're out of the cars. Give them a round of applause. A former Irish champion and a guy who's searching for his first ever pro championship. Give it up for Brendan Stone and give it up for Owen Magner. And not the way either one of these guys would have wanted to see the first run or any of the runs on this battle.
Well, that's what happens, Eddie. They're both full tilt. It's high octane, high level
motorsports.
Full
tilt while the tilt bed is out, Mike. Oh, that is good.
I didn't even cop it, Eddie, but punny man.
And guys, give it up for Connor and Wayne Curran. Not sure if Wayne Curran's actually out there, but Connor Farrell out there doing a hard day's work. There's Wayne Curran, one of the hardest working men in Alan Mudd.
So I'm just overhearing here from our track controller Sean Healy. So from what we're hearing, I'm just listening, overhearing conversation here, guys, in the tower. Our track controller Sean Healy has announced to the marshals that Brendan Stone will be allowed a competition timeout, and Old Magner can call a 5-minute rule. Eddie, was that correct?
Yeah. So what we're hearing is that the judges have deemed Owen Magner to have slowed in a full throttle zone. Therefore, he is at fault. So if he gets that car back out on track, he's now calling a 5-minute rule to check over the car. That gives Brendan Stone an opportunity to take a competition timeout, which means if he was to progress, he would still have a 5-minute rule that he could call. So 5-minute rules, basically, if you're not familiar with the sport, each driver gets one 5-minute rule from the top 32 all the way to the final 4, where at that point they'd be granted an additional one if they'd used it. 5-minute rule basically is an opportunity for those drivers to have, 5 minutes to try and look over their car or fix it if there is damage. So 5 minutes to resolve a D-bead. If there's a mechanical problem, maybe a boost pipe has come off, anything like that, drivers can have 5 minutes, and you would be surprised what they can achieve in 5 minutes.
And it's important to interject there, Eddie, that the 5 minutes start as soon as one of their crew members touches the car. The car can be recovered to the pits, and then as soon as somebody touches the car, 5 minutes starts.
Yeah, so assuming no hands are on the car before it gets back to the pit, once it's dropped down off the trailer or off the recovery, it will have 5 minutes from that point, and the 5 minutes finishes when they get back into the car and move it away from their pit area, so as not to encourage them to fly back to the start line. So 5 minutes to act of full working time on the car. And of course, Brendan Stone, as he's not at fault, if he needs time to look over his car, he will have what's it referred to as a competition timeout in order to do that, and that won't affect his 5 minutes. But yeah, as we were saying, the judges deeming Owen Magner at fault for that collision. Therefore, if these two cars do come back out on the circuit, he will be at a 10-0 disadvantage, meaning Brendan Stone will have an advantage going into the second half of the battle, where he will then be the lead driver with an open track in front of him, Mike, which gives him a substantial advantage.
Absolutely, Ed. And I'm just hearing as well, after this one, we are going to go back to the second half as well. Slightly messy start to the top 32, 80, but that can be expected. And usually once we get to the top 16, you whittle down the drivers. They're all after winning a battle already, and they're all coming in hot. So it tends to get a lot tighter from the top 16 on. But we are going to go back to the second half of the Stephen Halferty-Harry Kerr battle, where Stephen Halferty, we think, just DB'd a tyre. And we saw a DB'd tyre yesterday cause a flip when Justin Murphy's BMW went off at clipping point 3 and actually dug into the grass in Mondello here, flipped the car over back onto the wheels. He came back out in his second qualifying run. That was on his first qualifier. He came back out in his second qualifying run about an hour later or whatever, less maybe. The guys had the car fixed and he qualified for battles.
Yeah,
So-
incredible. And the main thing to take from it, Justin was okay. He was unharmed, and obviously that's a credit to the level of safety regulations that we have here in the championship. These guys, there's so much safety aspects goes into the car itself, and also just the accessories that the drivers need to wear, like the hands device, the harnesses and everything like that. So, but yeah, like it was, the word started to filter down to the drivers on the grid waiting for their qualifying runs, and obviously we were aware that there was a delay. We didn't know what was caused it, and you never like to hear something like that, and it goes into the back of your mind then, because in all the years of coming to Mondello Park, never seen anybody flip a car on this circuit. Obviously it's happened in the paddock before, but never on the track, even though it is so dangerous with the curbs and with the way the cars do dig into the grass and the gravel. So glad that Justin was okay, but as you said, he showed great resolve to come back out, put that car into the top 32, and Justin had just finished rebuilding that car, new engine, power plant gone into it as well, so a lot of work went into the car over the off season. But thankfully he's okay and he'll live to fight another day. A steely character is Justin Murphy, so definitely not much that's going to faze him.
And he's just from around the corner, so I think he went up for a nice cup of tea just to settle the nerves and came back down again.
Cup of tea, big spoon of sugar.
And maybe an old biscuit.
A bun.
A bun maybe, or a biscuit or something, yeah.
A wee bun with a bit of icing on it.
Yeah, settle the nerves and back out. So we just about have Owen Magner's car here recovered. Not sure exactly, there might be something, did he lose drive, or is there something broken on the back suspension that we can't see from this viewpoint? I'm not sure, but we will have word on that ASAP as well. He'll have 5 minutes to fix
certainly,
that.
Certainly not a character that you would associate with playing games in any way whatsoever.
No,
so I would
not.
say, if anything, it was either a correction, needed to back off, or else maybe just a mechanical issue that he lost drive. But certainly...
Well, he's only got one setting as well, Owen Magner, it's 11.
Yeah, and to be honest, the impact didn't look from where we were watching to be anything too severe. So the fact that this car has been recovered would suggest that maybe there is something more serious wrong with it.
Yeah, exactly. So that could explain why the incident happened in the first place, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll see Owen back out. Maybe they can get it fixed. And he has a lot of work to do, if so, because he will be at a 10-0 disadvantage. And speaking of 10-0 disadvantages, our battle that we are going back to, Stephen Halferty, is at a 10-0 disadvantage to his buddy Harry Kerr, who is driving the borrowed car, which of course belongs to Nathan Corcoran. 860 brake horsepower, I believe. And it's great to see this car working for Nathan. He's a Pro 2 competitor. Didn't have any luck with it for quite a long while, and it seems to be working now. And Harry Kerr is showing us that it's capable of mixing with the best.
There's a real advantage to having a top level driver like Harry Kerr drive your car, especially when he's familiar with that chassis, because there's a lot that he can tell you about how to set it up. You could be doing this better, you could be doing that better, softer here, harder there, blah blah blah.
Yeah, just more experience.
There's great insight to be achieved from that. So I think it might actually work well for Nathan Corcoran, in how he approaches his setup for the car in the future, and even how he drives it. So a lot to be learned, even by not driving and just having somebody else sit in the driver's seat. So here we go. We're almost ready for this one.
Yeah, so 10-0 advantage here to Harry Kerr in the lead position. Stephen Halferty, or in the chase position, sorry. Stephen Halferty in the lead position. Has it all to do, and he can't do a whole pile about it here. Ed just put in a perfect lead run.
Yeah, he just has to be as good as he can be and hope for a mistake behind them, which is few and far between from Harry Kerr. He doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. Here he goes, dives onto the door.
Look at
hard
this.
Onto the front brake goes Stephen Halferty. And Nathan Corcoran, cover your eyes because your car has been used as a missile here right now as it throws it onto the door of the E36 Touring, and across the line they go. I mean, no safe runs around here, Mike.
Well,
no
you know
safe
what?
Runs.
We were joking about Harry Kerr only have one setting as well. He has only got 11, and Harry Kerr guys knew that he didn't have to do anything in that run except put in a safe run behind it, but he literally pushed Stephen Halferty around the track there. So guys, can we hear a big round of applause for Harry Kerr and Stephen Halferty?
So Stephen Halferty and Harry Kerr have obviously just misread the brief.
There's only 2 runs in the battle, Eddie.
Yeah, 2 runs, yeah. So we were going to ask ourselves, have we missed something here, Mike?
The boys are kind of new to the sport, to be fair to them. The two lads with about 15 years of drifting between them.
It's only their first competition event in Ireland this year.
Yeah, this year. I think, they're definitely rusty because we just had to remind the 2 drivers there that was actually the second run of their battle. They went back down to the start line. So
I think they enjoyed that one so much, they just wanted to chance it and see could they go again, get some extra value for money.
Exactly. So we can, I'm not sure if we're bringing them back down for results or if we're just going to run the next battle, but it is a foregone conclusion. And
I
Harry
think so. It's pretty straightforward. Harry Kerr moves on to the top 16. We move on to the next battle, which is going to be Alan Delaney to take on Brendan Burke. Alan Delaney in the borrowed car here. This one's interesting. He's going well. He's going to be in the lead position. Brendan Burke, he's had moments of brilliance so far this morning in practice and qualifying, but he's also been extremely wild. 2 very different styles of driving here. I think this one's going to be really exciting, Mike. And you know what? Not even going to try and pick a winner here.
Yeah, well, Brendan Burke can only drive this SR full throttle between clipping point 1 and 4 pretty much. He's not got a lot of adjustment in it. We heard him entering there in qualifying. He's just absolutely, as we say down where I'm from, flat to the board all the time. So I'm not sure how he's going to get on in the chase position behind the car, which is not a slow car. Cat Darren's car is not a slow car either, but I'm not sure, how he's going to deal with possibly having to adjust at clipping point 2 here. We've seen this first corner catch out people a lot this weekend already, so let's see what we can do here, or what he can do in the chase position.
Yeah, well, already separation as they come through that first section of the circuit.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We're talking about the pace in that car.
There you have it. Big understeer from Brendan Burke. Massive mistake from Burke in the chase position. Alan Delaney putting in a nice lead run here, Ed.
Yeah, really nice so far. Brendan Burke now starts to claw his way back into this battle, but I think perhaps too little too late. A lot of it's going to be said by what happens on the second half of this one, but certainly tries to, increase the intimidation level as he finishes up that run. But really strong performance there in the borrowed car from Alan Delaney, as you say, podium finisher at this event a number of years ago. So has the experience, has the drive, and has the confidence that he has it in his locker that he can produce it when it counts.
Yeah, and the judges, of course, wanting to see the chase car match the lead car's angle. If you watch over the finish line here, Brendan Burke actually, just in order not to hit Alan Delaney, increased the angle over Delaney there. So I think, though, Burke is going to be at a big disadvantage. He had a huge understeer moment there, as we kind of half predicted before the battle. So it's all well and good, Eddie, to go qualifying in a car that's set up quite tight, that's quite grippy on the rear, but when you have to chase in and when you have to adjust and maybe it's not your run to decide what's happening in it sometimes, and it can catch you out a lot. And this first corner in Mondello Park is proving once again how technical and how difficult it is. It's catching out the best in the business.
So here we go, second half of this one. What can Brendan Burke do now in the lead position? Can he avoid that understeer, that dreaded understeer? He certainly can. Perfect through the first 2 seconds. Can he get it out the tree? He does. Checks the box. Now the big pull all the way around as they go past Mobile 1 and make the switch back. This is where it gets back. Hard on the anchors and then back on the power. Big anchor. Delaney goes off, Mike. Delaney gets caught as they come past the grandstand, and Brendan Burke crosses the line, and from out of nowhere he could be going through to the top 16.
Yeah, I thought I saw Brendan Burke's side skirt there just getting ruffled a little bit, and I thought we were going to see him getting pushed into the wall there by Delaney. But we'll have to watch the replay here to make sure that the lead car didn't do anything untoward. But from where I was, Burke looked like he was doing everything quite right. Delaney just makes a huge surge here. Did Burke go a little bit wide?
Do you know, I think there's an element of, did Burke maybe just go a little bit deep, but also Delaney he had to sacrifice a lot of angle to get himself in there. So I think just carrying that at too much pace and not at a typical angle that you would come into that zone at. So we can see there, winner Brendan Burke goes through to the top 16. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to Alan Delaney and Brendan Burke.
He looks like he's pulling a
in
wheel
the
there.
borrowed car. Unfortunately, it won't be a podium for Alan Delaney on this occasion.
Is it a broken tie rod or something? He
Yeah,
looked to be pulling a wheel straight there. But if you reverse the car, you can kind of get the car off the track with a broken tie rod handy, because the front wheel will just kind of follow on. But I'm not sure if that is an option here, because the wall is right behind him. So might be a quick tow job here off the track as well for Alan Delaney in Catcha Darren's car, of course.
Mike, just look at the screen.
Yeah, well,
it's cut
back
back to
now.
Alan Delaney, and it still looks good. It still looks good.
Alan
Yeah.
Delaney is nice to look at.
Looking well, man.
He is a handsome man, but we're going to look at Dave Egan's car and Kevin
Look at
Quinn's
this,
car.
incredible.
Yeah,
You know, I mean,
that's nearly better than Alan Delaney, actually.
what a lineup! I mean, there's what, 300,000 euros worth of machinery sitting on the start line, ready to throw it in over the hill at Mondello Park at upwards of 70 miles an hour.
5 million brake horsepower. Genuinely though, about that on the screen here, it could be around 300,000 euros.
Yeah, I like that. That's not even like.
That's not exaggerating.
That's a reserved.
Yeah, that could be a
estimation.
reserved estimation. Yeah,
It could be well over that. I mean, the engines in these two cars alone would probably be close to the 100k mark if.
Yeah, well, if you had the engine and transmission stuff together, yes, you could be starting to get there for sure. If by the time you've labour paid for and all that, yeah,
like crazy. Two absolutely incredible builds. One built in a shed in Northern Ireland. One built in DBM Engineering in Holland.
Yeah, and Kevin Quinn, both Driftmaster drivers.
Yes.
And also, both huge horsepower builds here. Kevin Quinn, he likes an S15, he likes a bit of the rev limiter as well. Very used to the S15 chassis. Dave Egan, of course, still, this is an A90 Supra. Freddie Asbo's still dialing his one in over in Formula Drift with the, unlimited
Dave's
budget.
just going for it here. No,
he's just going for maybe
he's
a
going
little
to go
tire
back
warm.
and warm the tires again, and maybe just a little bit of distraction. It hasn't been going the way he was hoping this morning. They really are battling with the setup of this car. It's a crazy car to drive. When you look at the difficulty that Frederick Asbo has had with it, the difficulty that
Anyone else around the world that are running them, there's a couple going in Japan. They're taking a while.
Peter Vinsek, yeah, there it comes now, yeah. So Peter obviously has struggled to, get to grips with it as well, and it's definitely a difficult chassis to drive, and Dave, he's got a lot of experience, but at this level, and in the level of Drift Masters, with a car that's hooked up like that, it's another step forward in terms of, or a step above what he's used to, and it takes time to get there and find the right setup, get the experience, get the track time, and get comfortable behind it. Everything's happening so fast in that car, plus the fact that it's a left hooker as well. So
it's a lot to take in.
It's a lot to take in.
And Dave always does things though for the entertainment factor. He wants the content, he wants the engagement from the crowd. So just building a Silvia or whatever, nothing wrong with building a Silvia. They're fantastic car, great looking, fantastic chassis, but Dave just won't build a Silvia and compete in it. He'll do something different because he wants the engagement from the people, he wants to entertain the crowd and get the content out of it.
Like you have to remember, there's if you want to get views, and that's what they're after, that's where their bread and butter is. You can't do that by just doing the ordinary. You have to do the extraordinary. And Dave's always been one to try and push the boundaries of himself and his team and the sport, of course. And so much admiration for what he does, and I think it's going to be a huge step for him moving into Drift Masters. If they can get that car right, though, Mike, what we do know about Dave is he's a good line driver. He has a solid 85 plus qualifying run in him.
Yeah, we saw him here in James Dean's E92 Eurofighter last year, and doing a very good job of driving it here at Japfest last year. And we could always mock Dave. He was the gaffer from 2013 on, I think. we could always mock him for like great event organizer, fantastic commentator, but we could always kind of give him a bit of stick for being a bad driver, but we can't do that anymore.
He'd probably be the third best commentator in Mondello this weekend.
After
I'd say.
Adam and yourself.
No, I was going to say after you and Adam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a driver, so I wouldn't really put myself into the
Actually,
category.
we've set a record as well, you and me, this weekend in Mondello Park, and it was brought up to me earlier that we've set a record for as a combined duo for the tallest commentary duo ever to grace Mondello Park, between you and me.
If we were to stand on each other's shoulders.
Exactly. So Dave is warming tyres. Kevin Quinn is warming tyres as well, which means that we are back into battle action in just a few moments' time. Once again, guys, IDS 2025 is brought to you by Red Bull, Lucky Day Competitions, along with ECU Master, GMD Tyre and Service Centre, Yugon Factory, TS Drift Days, driftmagazine.eu, Strom Wheels, Turn Distribution, Nisuba, Group D, CD M Sport, and Shift AM. And we are ready to rock for the second or third last battle, I would say, on the left-hand side. Second last battle on the left-hand side of the bracket, Eddie, which means we're almost halfway through the top 32
it's been a slow
already.
start to the top 32. Mike, this happens sometimes, but it looks like, look at this. We are ready to go. Dave Egan itching to get off the line there in the Drift Game
Look at
Superjet. Kevin Quinn powers up. But look at this. Dave Egan right behind him,
Wow.
side by side. Here we go. Mondello Park makes some noise.
I can't see Dave Egan's car. It's in the middle of the smoke. Wow, it jumps out of the smoke. Look at this from Dave Egan. Massive dive. Can he control the Supra? He's a little bit all over the place, but he's right there with Kevin Quinn. Now he has to find it over. Once again, huge angle from Egan. Hits the wall. Quinn puts foot to floor. Jay-Z's. Oh, contact once again. What a run.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Kevin Quinn and for Dave Egan.
Wow.
Well, they call it the Superjet as a play on words for the fighter jet. Well, Dave Egan came out fighting there. He wasn't going to give Kevin Quinn an inch. And this one, Mike, is spicy now. This one's going to be interesting as they head back up to the start line. Kevin Quinn has some thinking to do. Look at this if you're watching online as they cross the line on the replay. Wheel to wheel. Quinn, a nice, fast, snappy entry. And Dave is right there. Looked like he was going to lose a little bit of ground. You couldn't see him in the smoke. And then bang, he just appears as they come into outside zone 4.
Yeah.
Dave comes off the line, but did Quinn do a little bit of slowing there as well as he made that entry into 4? Just looked like he may have had to back out of it a little bit. Dave's line gets unsettled, but this is where he really starts to pull it together. But they're back on the line, Mike. We have the second half of this one to come. Dave in the lead position, Kev in the chase. Here we go.
Here we go indeed, Eddie.
Sequentials clicked into gear, and
Yes.
Dave to lead them in for the second half of this one as they go side by side down the straight.
Whoa.
Kevin Quinn spinning wheels, fishtailing already. He's coming for it. He's
Oh.
coming for the door of the Super of Dave Egan. Perfect lead line so far from Dave Egan as Kevin Quinn now jumps onto the door but loses some ground. As drops a wheel and almost flips the Superjet. Oh my God, Mondello Park.
Oh my God.
And just when it was all going so right for Dave Egan, it all falls apart as he falls off track. And as Kevin Quinn finally finds the limiter, guys, make some noise for Dave Egan and Kevin Quinn, leaving no stone unturned to try and take it into the top 16, giving it absolutely everything, leaving it all on track.
Wow, Eddie.
Grandstand, make some noise. Unfortunately, one of these two gladiators has to go home and bow out at top 32. But who is going through, Mike?
Well, the judges have to look at this one, make sure that it was just an unforced error here from Dave Egan, and it is still in discussion here. But
Yeah, well, that was a wild one, Mike. They came in hot and fast on both those runs, and you know what? Whatever way you look at it, both guys can go home or will go home knowing that they gave it absolutely everything, and we can announce a winner and going through to the top 16. Give it up for Kevin Quinn.
Guys, let's hear a massive round of applause for a man who has entertained us so much and continues to do so today. Let's hear it bowing out in top 32 for Dave Egan. Oh, Eddie, breathless one after that. All the entertainment factor, and it's only top 32 yet.
Yeah, it really was entertaining, and we got to move it on, Mike. We cannot dwell on it for too long because we have another big battle ahead of us. The last one on the first side of the bracket. Two youngsters, two young guns going up against it. Davin Leahy to take on Jack Caldwell. Jack Caldwell qualifying a little bit further down the order than we'd expect. Tentative and late entry there from Davin Leahy. Almost catches Jack Caldwell. But Caldwell now makes the dive onto the door, and he's coming for it. Big charge from Caldwell as he hunts down the door of the LS-powered GT86 as they throw it onto the wall. Big angle there from Davin Leahy, but he just cannot shake Jack Caldwell as they cross the line. Guys, give it up for the young guns, Davin Leahy and Jack Caldwell.
I'm going to say, Eddie, that there's a combined age on track right now of, I think, about 31. As I got thrown out there. If even. Is it 30, 31? I would say it's 15 and 16 there, possibly. So 30 or 31 years of age combined.
It's still less than both of us on our own.
It is.
Unfortunately
indeed,
for us.
It is, unfortunately. But
to be young again, huh?
yes, but it means that the future of Irish drifting is safe in the hands of these young guns. So very, very good to see them putting on a show there as we watch the replay. Devon there with a nice lead run, but young Caldwell absolutely sticking the Sylvia onto the side of the GT86 there. So fantastic run there from both drivers, and looking forward to seeing the reverse fixture. So the judges are just watching the initiation here. They're spotting something slightly funny. So there was contact there. Maybe Caldwell impeded Leahy there, or something happened. Okay, so the judges are watching the replay here, and I know the live stream viewers can hear us over the replay. They're seeing what we're seeing. So you see there just the front corner of Caldwell's car touching the back corner of Leahy's car. Maybe we'll see it on the drone. So
yeah, there you go, Mike.
Yeah, maybe
what looked like a late entry from Davin Leahy from where we were standing could actually be contact from Jack Caldwell on Leahy's car, which then impeded him. So very interesting. Look at the aggression here. Obviously, you guys in attendance can't see the replays, but if you're watching online, you may be able to see this as the judges just try and weigh it up.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight one to call, but I think, to be honest, that Caldwell might have been just a tad aggressive here. Leahy's on his own side of the track. He didn't venture over to the right-hand side of the track or anything, and Caldwell is right there.
Does he fail to initiate though?
Does he fail? Yeah.
Yeah. Look how far he. It's definitely aggressive from Caldwell, but there's Leahy trying to initiate, straightens. So at what point is the contact is the question.
Yeah, Leahy's rear wheel as well looks to have a huge amount of positive camber there as well on initiation on his rear right. So yeah, I'm not sure what's the situation there, but I don't think it's a huge issue. It's not a run in there either way. They got into the track, and it's not going to be a zero either direction, or So
yeah, I think you'd kind of, from a judging point of view, you'd hope that the second half of this one ends up in in a very definite zero for one of the drivers to make this an easier call. But certainly, yeah, this is what they say. The judges getting paid the big bucks for decisions like this. You can see it.
Yeah, like Leahy tries to initiate there, which is before the scoring zone. He tries to initiate, to be fair. So we'd have to hear the official judges line on this one. But fair play to Leahy. He stays in it. He gives it a dab at a handbrake to get some angle again.
After all of that, for both drivers to make it through the clip 3 is actually just impressive on its own, really. So
it was, but look, it might get sorted out this time. Look, Leahy's right there with Caldwell. Caldwell flicks the Sylvia in over the hill, but Leahy in the GT86 is right there with him. Look at the proximity from Devon Leahy onto the door of young Jack Caldwell.
Yeah, Caldwell doing a good job here in the lead position. Bumper to bumper as they make that transition onto the wall in front of the grandstand here in Mondello Park as Leahy throws the door. A little bit of a love tap as they cross the line, and it's a little bit of give and take there from both drivers. I think they enjoyed that. Two hard chargers here. But look at the proximity that they take as they come through those first few sections. It's a shame that we've got to lose one of these two drivers at the top 32 stage.
It is a shame, yeah.
But what a credit to both young men. So guys, as we wait for the result, give it up for Davin Leahy and Jack Caldwell. And I can't announce, or can I announce? Looked like the flag was going up there from the marshal. I thought the result had been given. It hasn't been given just yet because the judges are still deliberating over it and going through. It is Jack Caldwell. Jack Caldwell's going through. Guys, give it up for Davin Leahy as well. We're going to quickly go back to the judges here. Kieran Hines, that one looked like a nightmare to try and decipher.
Yeah, well, look, we can only go with the evidence that we have, right? So we got two camera views on this. We have one, the drone, and we have one, the main camera up here beside us. Initially, when we looked at it, it looked like Davin just had didn't have a great initiation. But then we started to look and see, was he impeded from doing his weight transfer prior? And that would explain maybe why he had a poor initiation. But looking back at the drone and looking back at the main camera, we have no evidence to support that he was impeded. It looks like Jack is very close, but he's in, that's his job to be close. It doesn't look like he was impeded. It just looks like he just messed up his initiation. Then there was contact, but at that point, like I said it in the briefing, you have to have a predictable initiation. And if you have a little error on initiation and just contact, it's going to be the lead car's fault. So, unless we could prove that there was Davin was, his initiation was impeded in. That's the only way we could give him the battle. Without that, we have to just look at it as what we can see. And what we can see is that he has a poor initiation. There is contact, so that's his fault. So when we took over the second run, yes, he takes a good advantage on the second run, but it didn't overturn the advantage Jack had on the first one.
So there you have it. Jack Caldwell takes it into the top 16, and unfortunately we lose Davin Leahy at the top 32 stage. We go back to the start line now, and it's the first battle in the other bracket of our top 32, and it will see Fionn Roach to take on Adam Kelly. Two guys, Mike, that know each other very well.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be hanging around Dean Sport and the Shanahans down there near Mallow and Killavullen. So they will be very familiar with each other. They came up through the ranks together. Fionn Roach, after opening up a gap here, though, on Kelly. Two very similarly livered cars as well, but a big separation here at the R33 Skyline, cutting the track in order to try to find some proximity, but he just doesn't have an answer here for Fionn Roach. The pace of the GT86 is doing it all here for Fionn Roach. Kelly trying desperately to try to find some proximity. He does at the end, but it's too little too late, Eddie.
Yeah, too little too late, as you say, Mike, but two guys with very different levels of experience here. Obviously Adam Kelly driving a number of years and he's been around the game a long time, but the experience that he has just not at the level that the experience of Fionn Roach. And Fionn Roach, driving in the Drift Masters Championship, he's got an experience just at a much higher level than Adam has been subjected to. But Adam, of course, his first battle as a pro class driver, and he will have learned a lot from that and that experience. And he's still got the second half of this one to go, Mike.
Yeah, he's at a good disadvantage here, but it's still not over. Like you said, we've seen much bigger advantages overturned. But it just reminded me as well, seeing Adam Kelly's car there. Unfortunately, Owen Magner did not get his car fixed within the 5 minutes allocated, and Owen Magner has bowed out of competition. So not sure exactly what happened there in his battle with Brendan Stone. Did he shut off or lose power or something? But Owen Magner is out of competition in the top 32. That will be a big dent to his championship hopes at the first round. Brendan Stone goes through to the top 16. Now we have, though, before we talk about top 16s, we have to get through the second half of this battle, which will see one of these two drivers into the top 16, and so far it's looking like Fionn Roach is the favourite, Ed.
Yeah, well, we have 8 drivers there already. We do need another 8 in order to make up that 16. Who's it going to be, though? The first of them, is it going to be Adam Kelly, or will Fionn Roach take that spot? Looking good for it so far as he puts the charge on now here to try and find the proximity. Bit of a waiver from Adam Kelly as he tries to get that chip settled as they come by out of zone 4. Throws it down onto the wall, goes deep. Does he drop a wheel? Hard to see from where we are, as Fionn Roach now finds the door and looks to apply the pressure as they cross the line.
Yeah, textbook lead, or textbook chase there, from Fionn Roach. Looking good. Coming of age here is young Fionn Roach, and looking better and better each round. Adam Kelly there doing what he could in the lead position, but unfortunately I would say for Adam, he just didn't have the proximity in the first run in his chase, so that might be all she wrote. And yes, indeed, we can announce going through to the top 16. It is Fionn Roach goes through to the top 16. Adam Kelly out of the car to congratulate his buddy. Guys, let's hear it. Big round of applause, please, for both drivers. Know each other very well. Thank you guys very much, and thank you for sticking with the unusually cold conditions here in Mondello Park here this evening, and supporting us here in IDS and Irish Drifting.
I've never heard anybody mention...
Not unusually cold. Sorry, I said the wrong thing. It's not unusual for it to be cold in Mondello, but to be fair...
No, in fairness, it's a little bit particular. It's a bit particular... look, it's cold.
It's cold. Down south in the real capital in Cork, the last 2 weeks it's been motorbike weather. It's just been beautiful, sun shining, and I've got acclimatised to it, and I am absolutely Baltic here.
Well, two men that definitely aren't Baltic are the two men on your start line. It is Jack Mawhinney to take on Dennis Murphy. It's experience versus youthful exuberance. Here we go. Mawhinney to lead in Murphy. Murphy not looking as consistent best.
Where's Murphy? Murphy's gone very wide here, Ed.
Well, he's coming for it. Wild man. never one to back down, and he's coming for the door here. Can he find it? Mahoney on a really strong lead line here, Mike, leaving the door wide open here for Dennis Murphy to make a big dive onto the door. That's exactly what Murphy does, but it's wild. Hunts down the door, Mahoney. Mahoney, though, unfazed in that lead position. Really strong run from him.
Yeah, an unusual entry there from Dennis Murphy, but it kind of worked out for him. He found, he did kind of find the pocket there. Looks to be a lot of grip in this 180SX here, the Bandit Drifters 180SX. Unusual kind of situation here as well, Eddie, in that a guy called James Dolan actually has built this car pretty much from the ground up and rebuilt it as well, in fact, after a big engine failure last year, and elects not to drive it himself, sticks Dennis Murphy into it and says, here you go, buddy, do something with this.
Yeah, well, if you want to garnish attention for your brand, who else but to put in the car than somebody that's going to really just drive the socks off the car every time. Lots of crazy builds planned from that garage or from that team, so check them out online, Bandit Drifters, and as I say, plenty of exciting builds coming this way, and maybe some more exciting drivers behind the wheels of those cars as well. So Dennis Murphy now will line up in the lead position. Jack Mulwiney will give chase. He'll have felt the pressure and the presence of Dennis Murphy. He won't know how good the line from Murphy was, but he'll know that he was there. He had that proximity, so he's not going to back down here. He'll need to go hard. He'll need to try and find the door. A little bit of a gap opens up, not too much. Nice and safe through the first section. Gap opens up a little bit more again. We'll need to see a dive here. Oh, and it's shut down. It just didn't look like that car was running the way Mahoney would have wanted it. He's shut it down, and it looks as though he might need recovery. We get the yellow flags from the marshals, and from looking really strong in the first run, Jack Mulwiney could have just handed victory
to Dennis
Murphy, and Dennis Murphy might find himself taking a spot in the top 16.
I'm not sure if the Mulwineys rebuilt this car at this round, but I think we're seeing a lot of as Dennis Murphy bops his Jan speed there in Joy at the win, but I'm not sure if they rebuilt this car over the winter or not, but we might be seeing a lot of first round gremlins, Eddie. These cars come out, they're put through really hard paces pretty much for the first time often at round one. They will often have gotten a practice day, but generally...
you'd love to say that you get an opportunity to put these cars through some rigorous testing, but that definitely doesn't happen. So, but yeah, it looks like a shutdown there from Jack Mulwiney, and you know what, not the start to the championship he wanted, Mike. He was coming into the 2025 season hopeful, intention to drive hard. He certainly did do that today, so he can go home proud of that one. Guys, as he gets out of the car, give him a round of applause. Give it up for young Jack Mulwiney. As we see the confirmation rather, from our judges that Dennis Murphy will be progressing through to the top 16, where he will take on Fionn Roach.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one for sure.
It really is, yeah.
Two fast cars.
Let's just take a look when we have a moment at some of the battles coming your way. Paulius Judicious taking on Stephen Mooney in the next battle. Then it'll be Lee McFadden to take on Josh Holdsworth. Dwayne McKeever versus Dara McElroy before Gary Dunn takes on Kieran Casey. Then it'll be Dara Spencer to take on Dean Byrne, and Ben Rogers and Sean Owen Curry will battle it out for the final spot in the top 16. And things will really start to get exciting there, Mike, as we look to get into the deeper stages of competition here. And 16 drivers will be left to battle it out for those top spots on the podium.
Indeed, Ed, and I can relay some very interesting information sent up by our start line marshals there. As if it wasn't dramatic enough already in the top 32 with all these incidents we're having, I'm hearing that there are a couple of drops of rain just starting to fall down around the start line, so we know how...
Well, you can actually see them here now as well, Mike, coming into the tower, so little drops of rain. If you're a fan of Irish drifting for the last number of years, you'll know exactly what that means. If that first corner wasn't treacherous enough as it is with the amount of understeer, add a slight layer of, just trickled rain, and that becomes like a real ice rink, and that will be the decider for a lot of battles here if that continues in that fashion. And if you could look into the distance...
The big black cloud.
The big black clouds, and we can often say in Mondello Park, if you can't see the hills in the distance, the rain is on its way. So we could have some rain showers here to really spice up things going into the final stages of today's competition.
This is nightmare scenario for a driver now, because we can see the wipers on here on Paulius Judicious.
This is where you want to be in the chase position here, Mike, on the first run.
Exactly
where you want to be. So actually, Stephen Mooney...
Whoa, fires it in. Paulius fires it in. Does it stick for him? It doesn't really. He has a big adjustment. Stefan Mooney's in trouble as well. There's definitely a lack of grip out there already, but we still have pretty much full tyre smoke. So hopefully Hopefully we're not going to get as much rain as we think, but definitely a big mistake there from both drivers on entry, Ed.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't perfect from either driver. It's hard to say. Look, Paulius, big angle, catches some understeer. Is Stefan Mooney put off by that? His mistake is after Paulius' mistake.
It is, but you know what? I think he wasn't close enough to Paulius in order for it to put him off. The judges will probably say that there was enough of a gap that he had time to adjust and get into formation, but it definitely wouldn't have helped his line.
No, and it wouldn't have inspired him with confidence to keep
Exactly.
the shoe in. So
that's what I was trying to say. Exactly.
Yeah. So it really is kind of 6-1, half a dozen to the other there, and that will thankfully be for the judges to decide. Mike, we get away with it on that one.
Well,
we get the easy job of just calling and saying, you know what, we can say what we like, and it doesn't really matter because we're never right or we're never wrong.
Exactly. Now, Stefan Mooney has two choices here, guys. He can come in like the absolute clappers and hope that Paulius Judicious backs out behind him, or he can play it safe. He'll know what the grip is like, but the rain is still falling very, very lightly here. But this first corner, as you mentioned, Eddie, is absolutely treacherous when there is even a smattering of rain. So Stefan Mooney, it's a matter of bravery here. It's risk versus reward here for the lead car.
Yeah, like realistically, what you want here is bone dry or
or absolute wet. Yeah.
Absolute wet.
One of the two.
Anything
exactly.
anything in between on that first corner.
Let's
and
see
we've
what he
seen
does.
so many major battles won and lost. You can see Paulius just holding back, letting the young gun make his mistake, but he doesn't make a mistake, Mike. He fires through it, and still the grip levels maybe just okay just at the moment. That little drop of rain seems to have stopped and passed just for the moment. Now, can Stefan Mooney find himself in a top 16 in Pro Sunday, having never qualified even into the battles yesterday?
Yeah, what a transition there from Paulius around clipping point 5 there. Brilliant transition. Almost took the front bumper off his car. He wouldn't know where to get a front bumper, of course, if he broke that one. But
no, I'd say he could be waiting 6 or 7 months to get one online somewhere. You wouldn't know now. But
somewhere, exactly.
I mean, what a story this would be. I'm not sure what way this one's going to go. Give them a round of applause as they come down in front of the grandstand. But Stefan Mooney, well, Mike, until the decision's given, he has an opportunity to get himself into a top 16 here. And
yeah, never before battled.
I certainly don't know which way this one's going to go. So here we go. Decision's coming up on our screen. You'll know as soon as we do. Oh, and it's going to be Paulius Judicious moving on to the top 16. The TH Components team boss. But guys, give it up for young Stefan Mooney, the man who this time yesterday had never even been in a battle. Found himself into Pro Top 32, and he'll be going home with a huge smile on his face, debuting that car here this weekend in competition. 300 laps, I believe he did last weekend at the drift taxi session at what was the car show last week, Mike? My brain's gone forgetting it.
At Dubshed?
Dubshed, that's the one. Yeah, 300 laps he did, apparently.
Not in that car, no?
In that car.
Oh my word.
That is the most reliable car in Irish drift history.
Oh my word. No wonder he's used to it. No wonder he's going well. He spent a lifetime in it last weekend. But look at this on the line. Now, Lee McFadden,
do you know what?
He's just crazy.
This is really upsetting for me because I really like both of these guys, and both of them deserve to go further than the top 32 here. I'd love to see Josh go further. I'd love to see Josh get himself into a podium position, but I would also love to see Lee do the same because he's had so much bad luck in this car, and he deserves a good day out. And he fires through the first corner, grabs a little bit of the dirt there as he comes through clip 2, but he's absolutely on it as Josh now starts to bring himself into this one and finds some proximity, cuts through the smoke, shadows up the line to try and get on the door of Lee McFadden, but McFadden has the foot to the floor.
Yeah,
two smooth operators, two really smooth operators, but that was a really fast entry. Look at this, Josh.
Operator. So yeah, lovely textbook. Apart from Lee there dropping a wheel on the inside of clip 2, it's a really nice lead. Now Josh, if you watch his transition here just after outer zone 4, if you watch this, I think he had a funny transition. See, he transitioned a little bit too early, totally sacrificed clip 5. He's pretty good in 6 there again, but yeah, I think it's an advantage, slight advantage McFadden. He did go a little bit deep in at clip 2 though, so it wasn't the perfect lead either.
Yeah, so still all to play for really is what we're trying to say, Mike. You know, going back to this one, it's gonna, you know, this second half of this one could tell a lot. There was certainly very good points from Lee McFadden throughout the majority of that run. I think, as you say, with the exception of the little bit of a hiccup there at clip 2, but nothing major. It wasn't anything too big to write home about. Josh, as you say, just wasn't perfect, and some of his line wasn't as deep, but making those dives and getting that proximity at points as well. So
maybe Josh can give Kuba some lessons on how to take a nice profile picture for the live stream, because he looks very smiley and very happy, whereas Kuba looks quite threatening.
It's a nicer picture than what Lee McFadden has, that's for sure. Anyway.
Yeah, Lee McFadden didn't bother turning up for the old photo shoot,
so I can't comment.
The old photo shoot there wasn't high on Lee's.
So here we go, Josh, to lead them in the Drift Games S14. Lee McFadden in the MTM Fireplaces S13. They fired in, both with RB power underneath the bonnets of these very different S chassis. Josh, not the perfect lead line here, not making it easy for Lee in the chase position. They both throw it onto the wall in unison. Wheel to wheel now. McFadden hard on the front brake. They cross the line. Mondello Park, give it up for two titans. Give it up for Josh Holsworth and Lee McFadden.
Yeah, you know, Ed, I think Josh had it turned around there until he seemed to just bog down a little bit. No, he didn't get all the way into clip 3, but just there at outer zone 4, he bogged down a little bit. And I thought he had it quite turned around, because he was after pulling out quite the gap there on McFadden on entry, but just seemed to, I'm not sure, was he going for like a down change or what, or maybe just didn't clutch kick aggressively enough, but definitely didn't get the rear wheels lit up and the angle dialed in there around outer zone 4.
But it looks like, Mike, we might be getting a decision coming through. Or are the judges still deliberating on this one? Will it be Josh Holsworth or will it be Lee McFadden? As we said, sad to see one of them bow out of competition at this early stage in top 32, but that is the nature of the sport. So, yeah, judges still deliberating on it. It looked like with the graphic came up on the screen that we were going to get an early decision. Guys, they're out of the cars. Give them a round of applause. Two of the friendliest and happiest and nicest guys on the grid. And I can announce that going through to the top 16 is neither of them, because they're going to go one more time, get some fresh tyres on, get back into the pits and get back up to that start line. We're going to see that one again. Just wasn't clean enough, Kieran Hines, to pick a winner, so...
Sorry, I wasn't ready to answer you there. Yeah, look, it was very close. Both of them made mistakes on their runs. We'd be splitting hairs, to be honest. One of us was leaning slightly towards Lee McFadden or one more time. The other was leaning slightly towards Josh and one more time. So when you get to that close, I think the only answer really is to go one more time.
Okay, so thank you very much, Kieran Hines, as we look to the start line once again, and it is none other than the Northern Smoke Machine, Dwayne McKeever, the world-famous driver, one of the best in the world, lining up against another man who is fully capable of putting it up to him in Darrell McElroy, but maybe Darrell not looking as consistent as we're used to seeing him, Eddie.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think the only advantage for McElroy here is that McKeever's in a borrowed car. That's not usually much of an advantage. McKeever, of course, in that borrowed Strom S15, a car previously piloted. Well, we move on to what's happening here, because McKeever throwing it deep onto the wall here. And look at this though, from Darrell McElroy up to the task all the way through that first run and putting it up to the double champ.
Indeed he was, Ed. Indeed he was. And a lovely chase there from Darrell. Of course, Dwayne qualifying in 3rd position, Darrell McElroy all the way down in 30th position. And the higher qualifier will always lead first, guys. And the advantage being that you know after your opponent does the chase on you exactly how hard you have to chase in the following run then. So if you lead first, and we'll say, just for instance, the guy in the chase position has a massive mistake, you can then not take the risk in the next run, put in quite a safe chase. You don't have to put it on the line, and you can just take the battle a little more easily. So that is the advantage of qualifying higher. Dwayne McKeever, 3rd place qualifier, was our leader there. But you know what, Ed? His spotter will be on the radio to him, and he'll be saying, you know what, here, you're going to have to put it on the door here, buddy.
Well, luckily for Dwayne McKeever, he happens to be quite handy at chasing. He's probably
handy at that old thing.
He's probably like one of the best in the world at it. So, you know, here we go. Darrell McElroy is going to get a door full of S15 here as McKeever comes for it here. McElroy mounts the curb on the inside.
Whoa!
McKeever dials on the angle to avoid contact. They go back on it now. Normal service resumes here as McKeever hunts down for the door. McElroy throws it onto the wall. Caution to the wind. Can he take down Dwayne McKeever? McKeever hunts for the door and they cross the line. Mondello Park, let's hear you make some noise.
Yes! Dwayne McKeever showing exactly why he is a world-class driver and why he has made the reputation that he has with that chase. Wow. Now, McElroy had a little bit of a moment there. McKeever had to just slam on the anchors and dial on the angle, as you said, Eddie, in order to avoid the collision there, and did a very good job in doing so. So I think McElroy will be marked down a little bit for that mistake in the lead. He really had a good chase as well, McElroy, but I'm not sure if it was enough to overturn. And we can announce going through to the top 16. We'll get to see him again. It is the Northern Smoke Machine. Dwayne McKeever goes through to the top 16, and Dara McElroy bows out at the top 32 stage. And Eddie, that means that we'll get to see Dwayne in action once again, and he will be taking on...
Well, he's going to take on the winner of our next battle, which will be Gary Dunn to take on Kieran Casey, qualifying 14th and 19th respectively.
And how much power is on the grid here, Eddie? About, I'm going to say, would there be 1,600 horsepower?
Yeah,
nearly?
there's going to be easily 1,600 horsepower here on the grid. Two very highly spec'd cars, two absolute animals to drive, and two very capable drivers behind the wheels. Borrowed car here for Gary Dunn this weekend as he prepares his competition S15 ahead of hopefully a showing in Drift Masters later in the year. Here we go, Kieran Casey in the chase position. Gary Dunn doing a really nice job out in the lead position. Takes it deep into outer zone 4, just what the judges are looking for. Opens the door then for Casey to try and find some proximity as they take it down onto the wall. Textbook here from Gary Dunn and Casey up to the task, side by side as they cross the line. And you know what? Two big runs there, Mike.
Absolutely, Ed. And just after noticing there that Andrew Kinna at some stage is after busting one of... or not Andrew Kinna, but Gary Dunn is after busting one of Andrew Kinna's Lexus lights.
No, that was actually Andrew Kenna that did that, hitting the wall yesterday, and we pulled it out with some sporty welding by myself and a big digger. So yeah, no, that car. He actually told Gary Dunn, I don't care if you write the car off. I have another shell at home, so just drive it on.
Did he actually?
He did.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
We figured Gary couldn't drive it any rougher than Andy drives it anyway, so that was kind of going to be okay.
Yeah.
But you know what? A very competitive battle there, Mike, in the first half of this one. Door wide open here for one of these guys just to really take a hold of it. Good chase from Kieran Casey, but Gary really left a good lead line in order for Casey to chase. So Casey's going to be looking to try and replicate that. He needs to have a good solid lead line here, and Gary needs to try and get close. Or as close, if not closer, to Kieran Casey. So here we go, leaving nothing for granted. They fire in. Oh, a bit of a straighten there from Gary, but was there a bit of a waver from Casey as well in the front as Gary now loses a little bit of ground but looks to try and close that gap as they come by outer zone 4. Casey goes deep into that zone as they throw it onto the wall. Gary Dunn now looking to make the dive, just getting a little bit caught, I think. Just couldn't get the ground, catch the ground back up after the error on the entry. But it'd be interesting to see that again. Was there a waiver from Casey first?
Yeah, Kildare versus Limerick here in this battle, and I think, I don't know, it's going to be a tight one to call, but it might be like as you were. We'll have to have a look here again at the replay, because Casey wasn't right stuck on the door of Dunn either here on his one, so it might be kind of as you were, possibly proximity wise at least.
So judge's decision looks like it could be coming true for us, and who is going through? Well, it's going to be Kieran Casey moving on to the top 16. Kieran Casey goes on to the top 16. Guys, give it up for Gary Dunn and give it up for Kieran Casey.
Unfortunately, one of those two drivers had to bow out 1,600 horsepower, and Brendan Stone is at the line for some reason.
So Brendan Stone, obviously we announced that Owen Magner couldn't make it back to the line, but Brendan Stone just proving that his car is working, so he will just make a pass at the circuit. Obviously just needs to show that his car is working so that he can continue on in the competition. And we're hearing just needs to initiate, so we don't know if he'll do the rest of the run. Looks as though he may just take that opportunity just to test the conditions. As you say, track conditions, Mike, on a day like today could be changing all the way throughout the day, so Brendan just taking that opportunity just to check that the car's working, check that he's still working, and the conditions are what he expects. So there we go, Brendan Stone moves on to the top 16, the 2012 Irish Drift Championship winner.
And guys, we will be getting, as Brendan Stone completely joins me over with his anti-leg. completely drones us out with his anti-leg there, Eddie. But we will be getting you guys more involved from the top 16 onwards. And once again, that is when the battles will heat up for sure. But you know what? Speaking of heating up, Dara Spencer is on the line, and what a show he put on in qualifying as Eddie Power tries to put me off here in the tower. But you know what, Eddie? I'm at this a while now like yourself, so you're not going to put me off easy, buddy.
You're no spring chicken, Mike. So here we go. 2 more battles. And the 2 more battles in the top 16. Dara Spencer to take on Dean Byrne, and Mike has left the chat.
Oh, Eddie, I'll get you back. I'll get you back, buddy. But anyway, as we move it along, yeah, Dara Spencer really impressive in qualifying. Dean Byrne struggling a little bit, but definitely a driver to watch for the future. He's been coming up through the Pro 2 ranks there and now cementing his place in the Pro class. But I'd hate to meet Dara Spencer in a battle, Eddie. He's such an awful man in the chase position, you know.
Yeah, and if I remember rightly, won here this round last year. Took a really great start to the championship season, and just as the last couple of rounds, he just kind of, some mistakes came into his driving. Came up against, on-form drivers at the wrong time as well. But Dean Byrne's going to be up against it here to try and take down Dara Spencer, the short king. All the way from Donegal. Here he goes. Fires through the first few sections. Leaves the door open here for Dean Byrne, who's three-wheeling as he drops the wheel off the circuit. But now gets back into it. Real aggression as they almost make contact. Spencer throws it down onto the wall. Gets back on the power and starts to open up the gap as mistakes creep into the run for Dean Byrne. And as they cross the line, Mondello Park makes some noise for your 2 drivers, Dara Spencer and Dean Byrne.
Yeah, if you watch here the replay, Spencer just backed out. Spencer actually had a funny transition there. He seemed to back out of the the snap of the transition a little bit between 3 and 4. So Dean Byrne took a little bit of evasive action there, and I think the judges are going to pick up on that one for sure. Then for the rest of the battle, didn't really have a great amount of proximity. So, it mightn't be a huge advantage to Spencer there because of that funny transition.
Now, so they make their way back up to the start line where they'll switch around. It will be Byrne to lead in Spencer then. And I've just got a notification from DPD to say my package will be delivered by my driver Dean between 7 and 8 p.m. this evening. So
excellent.
Good to know that Sheen delivery
back to work
is coming
tonight. Pay for the old days drifting. Oh yeah, your Sheen order will be in tonight, Eddie. You'll be looking lovely.
I'll be the belle of the ball now tomorrow. So here we go. Back on the line. How cool do these 2 cars look? Hard to beat a big wing, isn't it, Mike?
Oh, you need the big wing on a car, absolutely. So I'd be a big fan of a big wing on a car myself. So let's see what we can do here. From the lead from Dean Byrne, yeah, lovely entry. But look at this from Spencer, as we thought it.
Yeah, just what the doctor ordered. Typical Dara Spencer, sheer aggression, no holding back. And he's really coming for it here. He won't want to bow out in top 32. That's not good enough for Dara Spencer as Dean Byrne takes a nice line through that final section. But here comes Spencer hunting down the rear quarter of that S13.
The crowd enjoying that one for sure. Dara Spencer, one of the best chase drivers in the country, if not in Europe.
Definitely one of the best chase drivers in that battle, I'll tell you that much, Mike.
Definitely one of the 2 best chase drivers in that battle, yeah, for sure. Look at this here as he transitions back a little bit to the left-hand side of the track there on the transition just before 6, but I think overall he might have had enough to do it. But then again, he did have that wobble on transition, but we can announce going through to the top 16. It is indeed Dara Spencer goes through to the top 16. The Donegal man advancing, and we will get to see him in battle action against the winner of our last battle, which will be Ben Rogers and Sean O'Curry. But before we can get to that, Ed, we're in for a treat. We are definitely in.
Yeah, I forgot we had the one more time here between these 2, and this is it was mouth-watering the first time.
So it's just the wrong. If you're watching the live stream there, guys, it is the wrong graphic. No, it's the right graphic. It is Lee McFadden is after popping up, and it's not Sean O'Curry. It is indeed Josh Holdsworth who just pops up with his lovely smiley face there on the live stream. So Josh Holdsworth in the chase position against Lee McFadden, the higher qualifier, in the lead position.
Yeah, just took an extra little bit of time to load the smile there. So that's what the issue was. So here we go. Back as you were. One more time battle between Lee McFadden and Josh Holdsworth. Who's going to find that spot in the top 16? As
big dive from Josh.
Appears through the clouds, making a big dive. Almost straightens as he comes around by Mobile 1. And now needs to finish inside, throws big pace and big angle at us, and he dives onto the door of Lee McFadden. Both guys full throttle across the line. Give it up for Lee McFadden and Josh Holdsworth.
Yeah, Josh doing everything right there, but got very much bogged down then by zone 4, and I'm not sure if he should go for a down change or something. He seems to struggle to get the car up and going there at outer zone 4. Maybe he could do with like sneaking it back a gear, but easier said than done while you're trying to change direction and not having a straighten or a little wobble while doing so, while changing gear. So good into the battle from Josh. Lee McFadden doing everything right in the lead position. I would say it has to be advantage McFadden in this one there, Eddie, because Josh was very straight, as you mentioned, around 4.
Yeah, look, on first view, certainly from where we were, you'd say, advantage McFadden, but, certainly not over by any stretch of the imagination here, and a good lead run from Josh, and a couple of maybe mistakes from Lee, and you could see this going, being a lot closer when the talking is over. Here we go.
Lee McFadden he's got no chill. He just doesn't know how to not chase around the door.
Zero chill. You can be he's going to just go as ham and as hard as he can. So here we go. Holdsworth and McFadden. And again, McFadden just appears. Oh, but Josh gets it wrong. Just gets it wrong, and the transition goes that little bit too hard. Drops a couple of wheels off. And unfortunately, Mike, it looks as though it's all she wrote for Josh Holdsworth. But give it up for Lee McFadden. A very worthy top 16 for him, and he certainly has deserved it. He's had his fair share of bad days, as both these drivers have, but certainly, as we say, delighted that one of them gets to move on to the top 16, because they both really do deserve it. But guys, give it up for Josh Holdsworth. Give it up for Lee McFadden. He's moving on to the top 16.
So that moves us on to our last battle of the top 32, I believe, Ed, if I'm not mistaken.
It certainly does, and if you're watching online, just ignore that last graphic. It is just, as we say, we're learning on the fly here with this new live stream, and just really trialing it today to try and improve it. But we go to our last battle, last spot in the top 16 up for grabs. Who will it be, Ben Rogers or Sean Owen Curry? Well, we've talked about Ben Rogers making the jump up to the pro class already this weekend, Mike. He has been phenomenal. He will be in the lead position as the higher qualifier here. But Sean Owen Curry only had one run to get it done. He got himself into the show. He qualified in 22nd position. That was pretty respectable. The scores were very close. So this one is going to be a hard-fought battle, and neither of them will want to be going home at this stage. Both of them will want to be kicking off their championship season in 2025 here at the Lucky Day Competitions Irish Drift Series in style. But it's going to be hard fought, and they know that they're lining up against a tough competitor here. Not the battle that either of them would have wanted.
Yeah, not the battle that either of them would have wanted, for sure, Ed. You don't want to see a driver of this caliber and a car of this caliber coming up against you in top 32, but that's the way that the cookie crumbles more often than not, to be honest, in IDS, because within the top 32 there is talent throughout, and we are ready to rock for our last battle of the top 32. Ben Rogers leads us in. Sean Owen Curry staying on the outside, goes on the back bumper, initiates a little bit later than Rogers. Sean Owen Curry a little bit straight there on initiation. Sean Owen Curry is in trouble here, Eddie. He is not maintaining drift. I'm not sure if he's got a mechanical or if he just got caught up, but Ben Rogers in the lead position is doing everything right here, opening up a huge gap. Sean Owen Curry now back online, but it's too little, too late. Ben Rogers has taken a huge advantage in this one.
Yeah, huge advantage, as you say, Mike, for Ben Rogers, and you were right, as you called it. Very late initiation there for Sean Owen Curry, just not getting that entry right whatsoever, and from there on the run is effectively over in terms of the disadvantage, but more mistakes as he came by outer zone 4. Yeah, not sure if it's driver error, mechanical problems, if it was just put off maybe, but from Ben Rogers' perspective, he's happy as a pig, and yeah. So there you go. He goes back up to the start line, and you'll probably have the spotters in the air telling him, just get yourself around that circuit. The only difficulty for him here now is he's going to be chasing a car that he doesn't know how predictable or how much confidence he can have in Sean Owen Curry getting through that first corner.
Exactly. So, guys, once again, we will be into top 16 action. We're going to have a quick rolling driver parade and straight into top 16 action, where it traditionally gets a lot better because all drivers have come in after winning a battle. They're coming in hot, they're coming in with battle experience, and that is where the competition really, really gets going. So we are ready to rock with the last run of the top 32, unless we go to it one more time, of course. But there's a big advantage here for Ben Rogers as Sean O'Curry leads us in. Rogers, all he has to do is maintain a nice chase. A little bit of a wobble there from Rogers on entry, but nothing too severe. He can hang back, still put in a sufficient chase. He's doing exactly that. Not a huge amount of angle, not a huge amount of proximity. Sean O'Curry looking a lot better now in the lead position than he did in the chase. Almost takes it into the wall, drops 2 wheels off though. Ben Rogers just doing the, just doing this. The necessary, I will say, Ed. Just doing exactly what he has to do in order to take the battle and take his place in the top 16. He's come up from Pro 2. He was second place in the championship last year, and he wants to make his mark in Pro. You have to get through the battles in order to do that, and I think he's after doing exactly that in the CDM Sport S14. So, just to make it official, guys, as they pull up to the marshal, we can announce going through our last driver to go through to the top 16. It is indeed Ben Rogers goes through to the top 16, and that is our top 32 done for. And we are going to bring out our top 16 drivers, guys, in, I would say, Eddie, about 10 minutes time. Usually 5-10 minutes time, and we will have a rolling parade here for you guys in battle order, and then we are straight into top 16 action at IDS round 1 here in Mondello Park at Japfest 2025.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here for your round 1 top 16. Give it up for Ryusei Akiba, highest qualifier. Made light work of his top 32 battle, and he is ready to go for top 16 action. He's going to be taking on Jason McInerney in the JZ-powered E36. Harry Kerr in the borrowed E46 will be taking on last year's Pro 2 champion Jakub Kuszczek, before Brendan Stone takes on Brendan Burke in the Battle of the Brendans. Kevin Quinn, well, he's going to be taking on a young man that he knows very well, but a driver that he will respect, as young Jack Caldwell takes on one of the best that Ireland has to offer, before we see Fionn Roach taking on the crazy and always exciting Dennis Murphy in the Bandit Drifters 180SX. He's delicious, he's suspicious, it's Paulie is judicious. He'll be taking on Lee McFadden, the seamless sensation, who's in the pits working on his clutch, before Dwayne McKeever goes toe-to-toe with Kieran Casey. Can Casey take down one of the best in the business? And your final battle in the top 16 will see Dara Spencer, last year's championship contender and a former champion, taking on pro rookie Ben Rogers, who's looking to make a name for himself and cement his name as one of the greatest to ever do it here on the pro circuit in Ireland. There are the 16 drivers that'll be battling it out for the top for the top step on the podium. We've got about an hour and a half of action here to go, and it looks like, Mike, that those rain clouds may just miss us. Certainly the worst of them. We might have the odd sprinkle of rain here, but it looks though we may have a dry circuit for the remainder of the competition, and things are really starting to heat up action-wise on the track on a cold, windy day here in Mondello. And we are almost ready to go. Well, valuable points up for grabs for all of these 16 drivers. Who will take that top step on the podium? Well, they will have to do the fighting out there on the circuit before we can decide that. There's a lot to happen here between now and 6 o'clock, Mike, before we announce the winner of Japfest 2025. Find a comfortable seating position. Keep yourselves warm, because the action on track will be hot and fiery.
Absolutely, guys, and thank you once again to our series partners Red Bull and Lucky Day Competitions, along with ECU Master, GMD Tyre and Service Centre, Yugen Factory, TS Drift Days, driftmagazine.eu, Shift AM, CDM Sport, Group D, Nisuba, Turn Distribution and Strom Wheels. So keep an eye on Red Bull as well, guys, getting more and more involved in drifting. Of course, they do some fantastic work with extreme sports all over the world. You've seen them do the coolest events that could be known to man, and I do believe that there may be something in the pipeline possibly there as well. So watch this space, and we are almost ready to rock here now to get into our top 16. The judges are back in positions. Ryusei, our Japanese driver, is warming his tyres. You can see Jason McInerney there in the background in the BMW, also warming his tyres. Not quite as exotic. Jason McInerney is from County Clare. Ryusei, of course, from Japan. So definitely a little bit of a differential in how exotic the both drivers are. But I think very, very closely matched in terms of skill. Jason McInerney, a fantastic line driver, came up through the Pro 2 rookie class and actually took that championship a couple of years ago, finding his feet into 2JZ, and looks all the world the pro driver now. As guys, the rain has just started here in Mondello Park. Wow, the rain is coming down. You will see it. The drivers' windscreens here are getting smatterings of rain, and we're getting it here in the tower, which means that the entry to this corner in Mondello Park, anything could happen. Is it wet enough to do the tentative entry needed, Eddie, or is it safe enough to come in? Absolutely.
It's definitely wet enough for a tent, Mike. Never mind a tentative entry.
Yeah.
So here you go. The rain comes down. It looks as though it will pass pretty quickly here, but yeah, this is really changes the whole look of the competition here.
Well,
and
does this swing advantage McInerney here, Eddie, because he will be used to entering in the rain here?
Well,
Ryusei has never entered Mondello in the rain. I would say
the big advantage here is that he's in the chase position, so he can just hold back and see if Ryusei gets through the first corner. The problem is, if Ryusei does get through the first corner, there's a huge gap, and that's exactly what's happened, Mike.
Wow, props to Ryusei there. This corner is so slippy in Mondello Park when it gets wet. Ryusei, no stranger to driving in the rain in Japan either, of course, but Very, very good entry there from Ryuse. McInerney leaving a big gap back. Welcome to the top 16, guys. We are in the midst of the action already, and McInerney now is closing the door. Look at the BMW. It really seems to have the grip there on the Silvia as both drivers cross the line. Now, as you mentioned there, Eddie, McInerney did the safe thing there, left a bit of a gap on entry because he said Ryuse is absolutely flying here. He's going off. But you know what? Ryuse made the Silvia stick. McInerney totally misses outer zone 3 there as a result as well. Totally misses all of zone 4. And Ryuse is at a huge advantage here just because he was brave on entry.
Well, a lot of the time when international drivers come to Ireland, Mike, they're not so familiar with driving in wet conditions. Ryuse, being from Japan, would be familiar with that because it does like to rain quite a lot in Japan. So he'll be well versed in driving in the rain. No stranger to it. As we kick off the ECU Master Top 16 in absolute style here in Mondello Park for round 1 of the Lucky Day Competition's Irish Drift Series. So McInerney now lines himself up in the lead position. Ryuse drops into that chase driver trap, and they are good to go. Get the orders from the marshal, and we are about to find out who's going to take it into the top 8. Which one of these two stallions will it be? McInerney throws on big angle as he fires through the first corner. Nice and tentative now as Ryuse tries to avoid making contact, backs off a little bit, and now makes a big dive onto the door as they come into outer zone 4. Much better line here from McInerney this time around. Can he find something special through the final few zones?
Yeah, lovely chase here from Ryuse.
Sorry, Mike.
It's a lovely chase here from Ryuse. Just backs out of it at the end there, but overall a fantastic chase there from Ryuse. So guys, in wet, tricky conditions, can we hear a big round of applause please for Jason McInerney and Ryuse Akiba. McInerney shaking his head there in the car. I think he will have seen the bonnet of the Silvia there. It's very hard to miss as well. So I think he'll have seen there the bonnet of the Silvia, known that he was under pressure. And we can announce going through as they get out of the cars. Guys, once more please, big round of applause. Both drivers are out of the cars. And we can announce going through to the Grade 8. It is indeed the Japanese driver. It's Ryuse Akiba goes through to the Grade 8. Those the very OG drift fans will remember the days that the D1 series visited here. Was it 2005 or 6? And great to see some Japanese drivers back. Of course, we had Nakamura and some other drivers, but Akiba doing the whole championship. So great to see as we move it along. Two more homegrown talent in the form of Harry Kerr and Jakub Krysiak.
Yeah, before we get to it, just to announce Brendan Stone has retired from the competition. Brendan Stone's retired from the competition. So unfortunately, that will mean, or not unfortunately, positive for Brendan Burke, but unfortunately for Brendan Stone, he will not be battling it out for that top spot, or that
the battle
spot
of the Brendans.
The battle of the Brendans will be given to Brendan Burke. But we move back to the start line where Harry Kerr takes on Jakub Krysiak. A battle that we would a bit of a wash there from Harry Kerr, and certainly two drivers that you expect to see fighting it out for the championship when we get to the final round of the season. So to have them battling in the top 16 is certainly going to be detrimental to one of their hopes, as Harry Kerr tries to find the grip out there. Oh, look at this, Jakub almost making the overtake, has to back out of it, Mike.
Yeah, almost making the overtake, exactly, Eddie. Has to back out at the last minute, but pity to see these two drivers, as you mentioned, both will be going for the championship. Pity to see them meeting in the top 16, but if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And you know, you wouldn't put it past either one of these two lads to take the championship this year. And winning the Irish Drift Series, it can open up so many doors in life. And just, you know, Harry Kerr is only back from Oman. He was out there, he was sending Snapchats, he had the feet up, and he was just living the life over there for a few weeks, in between repairing the car, of course. And it can just open up so many doors as the rain really comes down now here. And it will definitely be a fully wet entry here now in Mondello Park. So watch the entry here, guys. It's going to be absolutely crazy for both drivers to navigate this one. And I can update you, if you're at home in your sitting room watching this one, you know, enjoy it, because it's actually raining hailstones sideways here in the top us in the tower.
2 weeks of glorious sunshine and drifting comes to Mondello Park, and it's now hailstones, not just rain, Mike. Hailstones.
Yeah, hailstones, exactly.
So, but look, here we go. We've got some action out on the track. It's going to be treacherous for our drivers now. 3 days of rubber laid down on that circuit, and just like they've been driving on it all day long. They absolutely nail it. What credit to these two absolute warriors out on the circuit. Jakub Kuszczak in that lead line looking so strong, and Harry Kerr in the borrowed car trying to find some grip. Makes the dive onto the door. Mondello Park makes some noise for Jakub Kuszczak and Harry Kerr.
Yeah, great run from both drivers, considering that the rain or the hailstone in fact just started coming down super heavy before the run. Like you said, 3 days of rubber laid down, but it looks like that they've been driving on these on this kind of surface all weekend. They were super consistent there, so props to both drivers for a great run even with the conditions. But you know what, Ed, both championship hopefuls, we can announce going through to the Grade 8. It is in fact Jakub Kuszczak that goes through to the Grade 8. Harry Kerr has to bow the competition in the borrowed car, unfortunately for him, but he'll be back in his own car for IDS round 2 in a couple of weeks time. So well done, Jakub, into the Grade 8, and a very close battle there, Ed.
Yeah, it really was a close one, and not a whole lot in it, but certainly conditions making it difficult for both drivers, but handling it so well, and just shows the level of talent and experience that they have behind the wheel. But unfortunately, one of them does have to go home, and that will be on this occasion Harry Kerr. Look, valuable points still on the board for him. He got an opportunity to drive a borrowed car, and he'll take that. Certainly better than missing out on the round altogether.
Yeah, definitely. And when it comes to crunch time by the end of the season at round 5, you know, there can still only be a couple of points separating the drivers, and it can come down to the likes of these battles early in the season that is the defining factor by the time of the final. But we have to move it on to the next one, and it is indeed who is on the line.
Well, it's Kevin Quinn and it's Jack Caldwell, so obviously skipping over the battle that would have seen Brendan Stone taking on Brendan Burke. Brendan Stone retires, Brendan Burke moves on to the top 8. Quinn now to take on Caldwell. So youth versus experience again in this battle. Two drivers that know each other very well. Two families that would be very friendly, and I'd say good friends off the track, Mike, but you know, old enemies and rivals on the track. But this one's certainly going to be fast. Two very, very well-spec'd S15s.
Two very well-spec'd S15s indeed, and of course two drivers who will know each other very well off the track. It is not, according to the graphic there, it's not Brendan Stone and Brendan Burke. It is in fact Kevin Quinn and Jack Caldwell leaving the line right now. So we are. Cindy, you mean, look at this one, Kevin Quinn, no holding back. Wow, Kevin Quinn sends it full send in over the hill in the rain. Does he hold it? Just about, but look at this. Oh, contact. Jack Caldwell can't stop the Sylvia. Huge contact. He brings on Kevin Quinn's bumper with him for good measure.
Yeah, so what happened there was he needed a new front bumper. So he's taken Kevin Quinn's rear bumper and he's used it as a front bumper.
Oh, contact again.
Really nice move, Cotton. Let's see if it works for him.
Yeah, contact again. That's 3 times now. Jack Caldwell has hit Kevin Quinn 3 times in this battle, letting him know that he's there as they cross the line, guys. It's all going off here on IDS.
Yeah, I don't think anybody.
Crowd loving that one.
I don't think anybody will say a bad word to him for hitting Kevin Quinn 3 times. But I mean, he couldn't have been more aggressive there if he tried.
No, definitely. Now, did Kevin Quinn, was he extremely slow? Like, he flicked the car in on a big angle, and I think as a result he was very, very slow there between clipping point 2 and 3.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think some level of understanding from the judges possibly because of the conditions. He does make it out to 3, but certainly dialed on the angle there, and maybe not the perfect line to try and chase.
Yeah, I'd say he was absolutely routing the steering wheel to the left there just to keep it on the lock stops and get as much angle out of the steering as possible in order not to spin, but he did manage to hold it. Great driving from him. Maybe didn't need to go as crazy on entry as he did though.
Certainly not. Do you remember 5 minutes ago, Mike, when I said that the rain was going to miss
I do, Eddie. That's why you got the sack from the...
I think I might have been a bit wrong.
You got the sack from the weather station, and thank you guys, the crowd, especially those who aren't covered in the grandstand. Thank you for staying out in this and supporting Irish drifting. These conditions are indeed hard, but we're tough in Ireland, we're well used to it, and I'm sure that it'll pass over as we can see the clouds there. There's probably about another 10 or 15 minutes left in it, and it looks like it's going to pass over because there are blue skies behind the black clouds here that we can see off in the distance there. So hopefully I'm right, Eddie, and not like you and terrible at predicting weather.
So we have one driver back on the line. It is Kevin Quinn.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we just await for...
Maybe Jack Caldwell having a look at that car just in case. The intercooler pipes are obviously right at the front of those cars, and
yeah, it looks as though just warming the tyres there at the back. You can just see him appearing into our screen now and just testing the steering, testing the grip levels out on the circuit, of course. It'll obviously be quite different down in the warm-up area than it will be on the track, but you can see where the rubber is laid down on the track when you look over to.
Is Jack Caldwell calling 5 minutes?
Oh God, missed that.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Is there a false start here, possibly? Not sure exactly what's happening here. Jack Caldwell has initiated into the track, and Kevin Quinn has sat on the start line. So I'm not sure if he just left the line of his own accord or there was a misunderstanding with the start line marshal. But there will be a false start situation here, so we'll send Jack back down to the line.
Not sure what's going on there, Mike. We'll wait to hear something from the marshals to see, was there a miscommunication? Was there a false start? But it was a nice run.
Yeah, grand run, Eddie, but I don't think there was any need of it, to be honest. As all chaos breaks loose here, as the judging crew are putting all the electronics up out of harm's way here in the tower. Of course, lots of gadgets and electronics to make sure that everything goes off smoothly here, and the old rain and the electronics don't mix well, Eddie. So just making sure that all that stuff is right as Jack Caldwell heads back to the line on his own after doing just a practice lap of his own accord, nobody telling him to do so.
Just loves drifting, Mike. Just
loves it.
You know what? I just don't want to stop drifting. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if they're telling me I can't go, I'm just going to go anyway, just for the crack. And
just going to go for a quick one.
Sure, you try telling the 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Anything, you know.
Give him a 600 brake horsepower car and try to control a 15-year-old. It's just not going to happen. So Jack Caldwell getting turned around, Eddie, and just look at some of the other battles as we're waiting for the judges here to get everything shored up, so to speak. We're already halfway through the top 16. On the other side of the bracket, on the right-hand side, it's going to be a crazy one with Fionn Roach and Dennis Murphy. Paulius Judicious takes on Lee McFadden. Dwayne McKeever takes on Kieran Casey in a huge horsepower battle, and Dara Spencer will take on Ben Rogers. So that's going to be a very aggressive one as well. So 4 fantastic battles lined up on the right hand side of the bracket as well, but we are about to finish the left. Right, Jack Caldwell is making his way back onto the start line. Kevin Quinn is patiently waiting there saying,
yeah, Jack Caldwell, I think he's just playing by his old rules at the moment. He's just kind of, you know what, I'm just going to do it like...
Just do an all run there.
Yeah, just, and you know, on his own time. Don't worry about us. We'll just wait here, Jack. Don't worry. It's all right. No rush. So here we go. As he moves to the start line.
Ireland, like
Kevin Quinn updating his Tinder profile.
Probably, yeah. That'll be our Kev.
Yeah. Here we go. Swipe left, swipe right. Who's it going to be? Going into the grade 8. Here they come. Caldwell to lead in Quinn. Caldwell with the early initiation. Quinn to follow. No contact through the first corner this time around as Quinn takes the tentative approach. Nice transition as he looks now to dive onto the door here as things slow up around Mondello Park at round 1 of the Irish Drift Series, brought to you by Lucky Day Competitions. Caldwell on a really nice lead line here. Slight dab at the front brake there from Kevin Quinn, and across the line they go, and the speed really dramatically reducing here now, Mike, with the conditions.
I think we're going to have a dry semi-final or final again. Definitely, it's going to dry up here, but right now, as you said, Eddie, speed after reducing for sure, and the conditions very treacherous. But they bring their own form of entertainment. They always bring a little bit of drama to proceedings, so we won't say no to a bit of drama for sure. So we are just going to wait for the judges to give us the result of this one. A little bit of a mad battle overall. Lots of contact on the first one. A bit of an impromptu practice run down from Jack Caldwell. And then a lovely chase run from Kevin Quinn, it has to be said, even though he had a little bit of a wobble after... or between 2 and 3 he could have, or sorry, between 3 and 4 he could have done a bit of a better transition, I think. So just waiting for the judges to drop in the results.
Yeah, so waiting on a judge's decision between Jack Caldwell and Kevin Quinn. They are just taking an opportunity, Mike, just to look at some of the contact here on the first run. Of course, we did see a bumper transfer, so rear bumper to front bumper. Oh, what a transition, mind you. I mean, Jack Caldwell really was going for it on that chase run. And aggression is what we love to see. We love to see drivers getting rewarded for it, but will he be rewarded for it on this occasion? Was it controlled aggression or was it just over-aggression? So,
Kevin Quinn going for the limit, her high score of all time.
So we have a decision. Jack Caldwell gets the win, goes on to the Grade 8. So moving on is Jack Caldwell. Unfortunately, that's the end of Kevin Quinn. He bows out at top 16, and what a result that is for young Jack Caldwell.
He'll be delighted with that, and he is one of the up-and-coming superstars of Irish drifting, so that is a great result for young Jack Caldwell. I thought he might have put himself in a disadvantage there with the sheer aggression on the first one, but overall in the course of the two battles, the judges deeming that he was the better driver. Now, Fionn Roach is going to take on Dennis Murphy here. It's an all-Cork battle. It is GT86 versus S13 180SX. And it is, I would say, again, it's pretty much a kind of a 1500 horsepower combined battle here, Eddie. And it's going to be all aggression.
Two very well spec cars, and you know what? Two really strong competitive drivers here. I think Fionn Roach maybe the little bit more calculated, controlled. Dennis Murphy, I mean, he's good, but he's wild as hell, so.
You describe Dennis Murphy in life and behind the wheel as a lovable rogue.
Yeah. I've used this phrase to describe other drivers in the past, but it applies to Dennis Murphy. He's mad as a bag of spiders,
He is as mad as a bag of spiders. Yeah, there's no chill. He actually has his own hedging business for a living, like a hedge cutter. So.
I thought you were going to say he was responsible for hedge funds.
Hedge funds? No,
that doesn't fit.
Not. No, it's not a good time if he does hedge funds.
Here we go on this one. Fionn Roach to lead in the bag of spiders. Dennis Murphy in the Bandit Drifters 180SX. Big.
Whoa! Dennis Murphy's gone. Is he? No, he holds it. Wow! What happened there, Eddie? Dennis Murphy with the big wide entry once again. Fionn Roach then absolutely just nearly spinning. Dennis Murphy did spin. What happened there, Eddie?
Yeah, I don't know really what happened, Mike. It was big snap to angle here from both of them. Very aggressive initiation considering the conditions. As we get a look back on the replay.
And look at the lack of grip there. Dennis Murphy just trying to fire the car on the qualifying line there around by the wall, and it almost spun, so the conditions absolutely treacherous. But it has stopped raining. Everybody's soaked, but we will try out.
Mike, both sets of spotters are like, we said it's wet, take it handy.
Yeah, we said it's wet, lads, go easy on entry because it's slippery. But no, nobody listened. Right, watch this again on the replay here. If you are watching live stream, we are watching it here. So Fionn Roach initiates pretty right. Dennis Murphy, big wide initiation. Was there contact? I think there might have been. And Dennis Murphy then just seems to gain a lot of speed and goes around in a circle. And Eddie, it's a little bit of a mad one.
For me, from where I'm watching, Mike, if there's contact at that point, that explains why Fionn Roach maybe isn't making it to clip 2. If there's no contact, Fionn Roach isn't making it to clip 2, dialing on the angle, has to kind of back out of it a little bit, and then upsets the line for Dennis Murphy. But
yeah,
I'm only a
it's hard to know.
Spectator.
Yeah,
so
we're only spectators today.
I don't know, and I'm speculating based on just
If you're there in the crowd, guys, of course you can see the live stream on your phone. It might be a few seconds delayed, of course, but you can see the live stream on your phone, and you can watch the replays that we are watching here. If you can get coverage in Mondello Park, depends on the network you're with.
You probably want to have Vodafone or something.
Exactly.
You want to be paying good money for your
the coverage. The coverage with certain networks.
I don't know if Gomo would cut
certain networks that my phone work on aren't great today anyway. We'll mention no names, but just count to 380, 1, 2, 3 end before you say anything, I guess. But certain networks aren't working very well here, that's for sure. But Vodafone, if you have some coverage here, you can watch all the replays and things that we are seeing. So Dennis Murphy going back off the line here now. Is there a tire warming situation? So we're just hearing that there might be a 5-minute rule situation here being called, and we are going to move it on straight into the next battle to keep the top 16 moving. It is, you have a nickname for this man, Eddie, in the next battle.
Yeah, he's suspicious, he's delicious. It's Paulius Judicious.
Who is it, Eddie? Wow, it's Paulius Delicious. but suspicious, judicious, and he does look quite suspicious in his picture here. Look, he looks very menacing. He's kind of like an evil villain in a Bond movie or
He's a scary
something.
man, but he's actually lovely. Like
He's actually lovely, but he does look there like a kind of a Bond villain or something, doesn't
Yeah.
he? Kind of, kind of scary and up to
Mr.
no good.
McFadden, I've been expecting you.
Mr. McFadden, I've been expecting you. Exactly, yeah.
Although it's close enough.
I
His
ex-
number is 107, so
I
he's
expect
almost
you to
Lee
lose.
McFadden 007. Getting there. Anyway, come on,
Yes.
back to the action.
Back to the action, exactly. Back to more important things. We don't have Lee McFadden yet, but all we do, I can see the nose and the tail of a 180SX there popping in.
This is an interesting battle, Mike. I think, look, Lee was very good there against Josh. Paulius has pulled out some of the best runs I've seen from him for a long time, so it's going to be who can adapt to the conditions, though. That's the real test here. It's a massive change in conditions since both of them were out on the track. The rain has stopped, thankfully.
Yes, and I think we are going to have a dry track within.
Yeah, well, I
within
think the
45
wind
minutes
will
or-
definitely help to dry the track, so that's a plus. You can see, obviously, they've warming tyres, but there
And
is a
tyre
little bit of
smoke,
smoke
yeah.
down at the tyre warming area.
Such difficult conditions, but we've seen it in the past. We've seen it actually last year, in fact, as well. And the drivers just seem to adapt really quickly, and they can find the grip in the track. And of course, they have the spotters. And I think the entry is actually going to be dry pretty soon. You can see the marks there, and that's usually a good sign that it's not like totally wet. So we'll have to see how the drivers deal with that. As Paulius Judicious, the higher qualifier, actually will lead us in. Qualified in 7th position. Lee McFadden was 10th, so Paulius with the slight advantage in this battle in terms of leading first. And very similarly spec'd cars, similar level of driver, I would say, today. Lee McFadden may be the more prolific, but Paulius has the experience. He's going very well today.
Yeah, do you know what I think, Mike? Yeah, you're right there. Two really talented drivers behind the wheel, but two drivers that probably haven't had the little bit of fortune that they've needed, be it just with luck on the day or just with problems with the car. So I think it's going to be a tight battle, and one of them is going to handle the conditions better than the other, and I think that person's going to win.
Well, that's what's going to happen, Eddie, for sure. You're at this a long time, you're no fool by the sounds of it. So, as our commentator from yesterday, Adam Driver, brings us up a cup of tea, and we're very, very grateful for that.
And some treats. What a man!
Some treats as well. What a man! First cup of tea for me for the day, and I'm delighted because I'm a massive tea addict. I survive on this stuff. So, are we ready to rock on the start line? I think we are pretty much.
No.
1 second here. We're just making sure there's
When this is over.
making sure that there is no technical issue here in the tower. So we are just holding tough to start this battle for a second.
So, ladies and gentlemen, just bear with us for a moment while we deal with a technical issue here in the tower. You can see rain must be falling down at the start line, so conditions are a little bit different down at the start line as we get starters orders, windscreen wipers in full flow. Only on one car, mind you. So here we go. Paulius, suspicious and delicious, judicious, and Lee McFadden. Oh, but Lee McFadden gets caught in the entry, Mike.
Yeah, Lee McFadden just over-rotated there. Not careful enough on entry. It's a very, very easy thing to happen. It's like an oil slick there on entry in Mondello Park, especially when it gets very wet. I think Ryusei Akiba just in that battle, they still had enough grip on the way in to fire the car in, but definitely now it is full wet conditions. So Lee McFadden there with the 0. Well, or very close to a 0. I would say it's a 0. He pretty much stopped. So.
So a break in the commentary while we warm ourselves with our cup of tea.
Yeah.
And our little bit of a tray bake as well. Lovely. So, advantage you'd have to say in favour of Paulius Judicious. The TH Components team boss and Lee McFadden with a little bit of work to do. But Mike, with conditions like this, we've seen it in the past. This can be 10-0 one way and 10-0 the other way very, very quickly. So it's not difficult, or it's not easy. It's not easy in either position here. And Lee McFadden needs to just find that perfect run here and hope that he causes an upset or causes something to go wrong for Paulius in the chase position.
He looks like he's suspicious of something in that picture there already as well. He's kind of like, really?
I think he's suspicious of how delicious he is.
And nutritious. Mr. Nutritious, Paulius Delicious Judicious is making his way onto the initiation point here. He is at a 10-0 advantage. Lee McFadden.
What about that for an entry from Lee McFadden?
Beautiful entry.
Stop the lights. That is absolutely incredible. The way that he held that through that first corner. Oh, and a straighten there. Both drivers. Problems from both drivers. Paulius had a little bit of a straighten, and just as he corrected it, Lee had a straighten of his own. Paulius makes the overtake, and I don't know if that's all she wrote for Lee McFadden. Unfortunately, it looks as though it may just be that, Mike.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Lee McFadden just losing drive, unfortunately for him, and often you see it, Eddie, at round one. It is the round of mechanical issues because the gremlins are still in the system after the winter, and so it is proving to be here as the hardcore drift fans here in Ireland stick out the conditions, and hopefully we will dry up and have a nice dry track again very soon for you guys. So we are ready just to confirm this one. The judge is just having a check here just in case there was anything at fault from the chase position as Lee McFadden straightens up on the transition. Now Paulius goes very, very shallow. He's on the inside of the track. Lee just backs out of it then. Yeah, Lee McFadden just backs out of it then, I think so.
So it looks as though we may be getting a decision, and we are indeed getting a decision going through to the top 8. Give it up for Paulius Delicious Judicious,
which will shake up the championship quite a lot there already. So that is both Harry Kerr and Lee McFadden out at the top 16 stage.
Yeah, that's a huge blow to their championship hopes, and of course for Lee McFadden, you know, I think he's happier in the car. The car is certainly driving a lot better and performing a little bit better. He's starting to perform, showing signs of what we've seen from him in the past, and as the sun starts to break through the clouds once again here in Mondello Park, I think the drivers will be happy to see that track drying out, but unfortunately for Lee, he bows out. Paulius, though, we haven't seen a charge like this from him in some time, so he'll be absolutely delighted and very worthy of that grade 8 position as well. So, moving it on to a next battle. It's going to be the Northern Smoke Machine, Dwayne McKeever to take on Kieran Casey.
It is indeed, and you never want to see Dwayne McKeever being in your corner of the bracket, because if you keep progressing through knocking out drivers, when you meet Dwayne, you're going to have to do something extremely special to beat him.
To be honest with you, Mike, if I was in this situation, I'd go, you know what, it's an opportunity to come up against one of the world's best and give it a go. I can try and make a name for myself. It's unlikely that I'm going to take down Dwayne McKeever, but if I can get a photograph on the door of Dwayne McKeever, I'm going home a happy man.
Exactly.
That's one for the mantelpiece. That's what it's all about. Getting an opportunity to hang out with the best in the world. And Dwayne McKeever, it's no stretch to say that he is up there with the best drivers in the world.
Yeah, we'd love to see him in Formula Drift at some stage as well, Eddie, because I think he'd really shake it up over there. We're seeing Jack Shanahan there, of course, last weekend in Long Beach. I was speaking with him during the week, and it'd be great to see Dwayne over there with him as well. But Dwayne leading in Kieran Casey here. He's gone way ahead here. Can he make it stick? He can. Not quite as much angle from Dwayne as usual. Intelligent entry there from McKeever. Kieran Casey now is looking for the door though of McKeever.
Yeah, but McKeever, with all the experience here in Mondello Park, knows exactly how to negotiate a wet track here as Casey loses a little bit of ground as they come out of outside zone 4. McKeever starts to pull the gap here as it just looks like he's driving on a dry track, Mike. It's like no difference. Maybe a little bit of a reduction in speed, but Dwayne McKeever, he's not top level drifter, world drifter for no reason. Look at the entry here, absolutely outstanding. It's a 90 point plus lead line there if you were to score that run as a qualifying run. McKeever just absolutely on rails.
Yeah, and Casey actually finding the door McKeever there, but getting stuck just coming out of the corner there. Can't get the traction, can't get the power down in the back of his S15 coming out of zone 4 there. Now he's on the perfect line pretty much Casey is in the chase position, but McKeever, after opening up a big gap there, just got out of 4 a little bit earlier than Casey, and I think Casey running a teeny tiny bit wide and maybe just off the racing line, and maybe there were some marbles there on the track, or just the grip wasn't on the surface in these wet conditions. So I would say between the fantastic lead line and the gap, I would say McKeever has to be at an advantage here. But again, Eddie, I think it's nothing massive. It's probably like a 7-3, very strong 6-4, or a good 7-3, probably.
It's nothing, Mike, that can't be overturned here, that's for sure. But the problem is, it's like you're trying to overturn it against Dwayne McKeever. Now you're in the chase position. He's an absolute animal in the chase. Or sorry, now you're in the lead position. Dwayne, one of the best chase drivers in the world, and yeah, you know, I mean, from Casey's point of view, you got to be perfect. How are you going to try and force a mistake from Dwayne McKeever? Very difficult.
Well, the one thing that Casey can do here is try and absolutely flick the car in and take as much speed through the first corner as humanly possible and make it stick, because McKeever then has to do the same. This is Casey's only hope here. He has to be brave into the first corner and hope that the car sticks, because otherwise McKeever is just going to be there right with him and he's just going to put him away here.
Yeah, so as that track starts to dry, it will become a little bit more difficult for the drivers as well. It's going to be patchy and unpredictable. Here we go. Casey versus McKeever. McKeever, straight line entry. Casey washes just a little bit. Oh, and he's gone into a spin, Mike. He's gone into a spin, and that's all she wrote for Kieran Casey.
He did exactly what we thought he might have to do. Just try to commit very hard through the corner, and then just seemed to catch a little bit of unexpected grip there in the front, maybe. And it just turned him around, and that is all she wrote for Kieran Casey. I would say this one will probably decide itself as we will recover Kieran Casey's very nice blue bumper there. A beautiful S15, of course, and 2 beautiful S15s in fact on track, but Kieran Casey's front bumper still on track there. We'll get that out of the way and we will confirm the result just as Kieran Casey pulls up. So guys, can we hear a round of applause? Battling tough conditions, can we hear it for Kieran Casey and Dwayne McKeever?
So there you go. Dwayne McKeever takes a spot in the Grade 8. 2 more spots remain. We've got the second half of the Fionn Roach and Dennis Murphy battle to come, and then our final battle in the Grade 8. Dara Spencer to take on Ben Rogers. Not sure which one of those we're going to see first as we wait for cars to come to the line. It looks as though it could be Dara Spencer versus Ben Rogers based on the graphic on the screen for the live stream. So guys, once again, big thank you to all our sponsors here, particularly our title sponsors, Lucky Day Competitions and Red Bull, as Dara Spencer now makes his way to the line, rocking those Strom wheels, provided by our sponsor, Strom Wheels. Chris, a real passionate follower of Irish drifting and helping and supporting a lot of the drivers on the grid, practically every driver on the grid running Strom Wheels, and Chris does his best to try and make it as affordable as possible. Of course, with drifting, you're not just buying the 4 wheels that are on the car while you're driving it. You've probably got about another 12 with tyres sitting ready to go back in the garage as well. So it can be a costly affair. And those Strom wheels, very affordable, very durable, lots of styles and sizes available. And you know what, Chris, always happy to try and help out with deals on those wheels as well. So check out Strom Wheels for all your drift car or road car wheel needs. Dara Spencer actually rocking a lot of our sponsors. He's running an ECU Master in that car as well. And I think he's powered himself by Red Bull. So there you go.
Well, there you have it.
All he needs now is to win a Lucky Day competitions and he'll be set.
He'd have a villa in Spain. So, we are pretty much ready to send cars, I do believe. And I'm hearing from Sean Healy, our head marshal, track is indeed clear. So Dara Spencer leaves the line. Ben Rogers is in close pursuit here, but Spencer, yeah, Rogers is right there with him. Spencer initiates, just pulls out a tiny gap there, just about a car length. Rogers now looking for the door here around the classic Mondello Park diving point of outer zone 4, and does indeed find it. Once again gets caught on lock, almost takes it back. Oh, Spencer catches grip. The conditions now catching out drivers a little bit. Rogers has gone very shallow, and Rogers straightens up. Possibly a mechanical issue here for Rogers, or did he's gone again? Does he just miss a gear or something? I'm not sure. Straightened up there from Rogers, and that'll be possibly even a 0 there for Ben Rogers. A significant loss of drift, but it'll be a huge deduction if it's not a 0, that's for sure. As both drivers passes here in the tower, there's something rattling very badly there in Ben Rogers' car, and it sounds very, I'm going to make a new word, it sounds very transmission-y.
That's not a new word, Mike. I think transmission-y has been around for a while.
It sounds rattly and it sounds expensive, so it's transmission-y. So I don't know, did Ben just miss, did he lose a gear? Is there one of the gears in the bottom of the gearbox of that car or something? But it definitely sounds, it sounds like there's something. He's calling 5 minutes, but from the sound of that car, unless it's a broken half shaft, he did reinitiate, and it did seem to hold drift, so I don't think it's a broken half shaft, but it might be. Now, I have seen half shafts changed in the 5 minute rule. There would be a big sledgehammer involved, Eddie, and there would be a lot of yelling involved as well, but I have seen it done. So 5 minute rule called here for Ben Rogers. But I'm just overhearing, we're going to run him on to the next battle.
Strong move.
So just confirming, Ben Rogers is calling a 5 minute rule. Definitely sounds like a transmission issue in that Sylvia. And I think we are going to go straight into the first battle of the Great 8 if we can get those cars gridded really quick in the interest of keeping the show going. Oh no, sorry.
So we're going back to the second half
Yes.
of the Dennis Murphy and Fionn Roach battle. Fionn Roach called 5 minute rule.
I forgot this one.
I forgot what happened in the first run, Mike, so, let's just roll with it. Shouldn't have said that with the mic on.
Kieran Hines is doing hand sign language here. I think he's making a sign of two cars colliding and then a spin.
Yeah, kaleidoscope.
Yeah, kaleidoscope.
There
Two
we
cars
go.
collided and then a spin. Remember, Dennis Murphy initiated crazy behind Fionn Roach. Fionn Roach appeared to... I don't know, did Fionn Roach slow or did Dennis Murphy just do the bag of spiders thing? And
I'd say
Dennis spun.
There was probably just a bit of all of that in it,
Yeah,
Mike.
all of that.
So here we go. They get their tyres warmed. They will line back up. And we will get the second half of this one on the road, or get the show on the road with the second half of this one. 2 spots, as we say, in the Great 8 remaining to be filled, and then we move into the real fast-paced action stage of the competition.
Yes, it's nice to see the GT86 as well, the chassis come on so much and become common. Jack Shanahan, I think, was the first one, then common one over here in
Connors
Ireland.
moved into
Anyway.
it now, Fionn Roach. Then we saw yesterday in the pro class, Luke Talley piloting one built by Gary Dunn in GDM Sport. So here we go. Dennis Murphy to lead in Fionn Roach. Will we see a cleaner battle this time around? Big gap opens up here as Dennis Murphy pulls the gap on Fionn Roach. Fionn Roach now looking to make the dive onto the door as they come into outer zone 4. But Murphy washes wide, not where the judges want to see him. That's going to make the transition really difficult and very late here for Dennis Murphy. As we saw there as he comes down by the grandstand, Fionn Roach having to cut the track to try and gain that proximity. Scrappy one, Mike. Not what either one of them would have wanted.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll have to... we might need to go to the judges real quick for an explanation on what happened on the first battle of this one. And just the conditions make it a little bit sketchy, and it's been one of those days, Ed. It's been a day of kind of a lot of retirements and a lot of issues, but it is round 1, and that is quite common to hear at round 1 because the drivers are rusty, the cars are still going through their paces, and guys, both drivers out of the cars enjoying themselves. Can we hear a round of applause, please, your appreciation for Dennis Murphy and Fionn Roach? Thank you, guys, and thank you for sticking through the conditions here. It is dry at least. Definitely cold here in Mondello Park, but it is dry at least, and we are just waiting for the result to drop in here.
Yeah, so going through to the Grade 8. Give it up for Fionn Roach. Fionn Roach moving on to the Grade 8. Judges deeming Dennis Murphy responsible for the contact in the first half of that one. So Fionn Roach moving on. Dennis Murphy, unfortunately, in the Bandit Drifters 180SX will bow out of competition at the top 16, and we have, Mike, 1 space remaining. Will it be Dara Spencer? Will it be Ben Rogers? Waiting to hear from the Ben Rogers camp as to whether or not they can get that car fixed in the 5 minute allotted time that they have to get that car back on the grid. Otherwise, it will be Dara Spencer moving on to the Grade 8 and filling that final spot.
So yeah,
Already in the Grade 8, we have Ryusei Akiba to take on Jakub Kuszczak. What a battle that's going to be. Before we see Brendan Burke taking on Jack Caldwell in the second half of that Grade 8 bracket. Then we will see Paulius, Suspicious, Delicious, and Nutritious, Judicious taking on, well, it's going to be Fionn Roach. And then Dwayne McKeever will take on the winner of Dara Spencer and Ben Rogers. So some mouth-watering battles left to come here at round 1 of the Lucky Day Competitions Irish Drift Series.
so just hearing from our head marshal there, Sean Healy, that Ben Rogers has less than 2 minutes left, and that was maybe 20 seconds ago he told me that, so probably less than a minute and a half left at this stage of his 5-minute rule, and it's not looking good. He is being relayed down, so I would say that there are significant transmission issues there in Ben Rogers' car, so that might result in a bye run for who was he against again, Eddie? For Dara Spencer, of course, exactly, yes. So for Dara Spencer might find himself, and Dara Spencer might find himself once he gets in to the Grade 8 in a good championship position, but should he get into the Grade 8, Eddie, who would he be against?
Well, I'm going to tell you something here, Mike. I don't know, you don't often, I know Tullyrone's a long way away from you, but I don't know if you often get to hear about what happens there. And last year's Tullyrone event saw Dara Spencer taking on Dwayne McKeever in the final. And a lot of people believed that Dara Spencer won that final, but Dwayne McKeever got the judge's call, and that was, well, that's what counts. He'll fancy his chances here up against Dwayne in Mondello in tricky conditions.
In a borrowed car.
In a borrowed car. And you know what? He obviously would like to meet him a little bit later in competition just in terms of points, but he'll certainly be up to relishing the opportunity to try and, get one over on McKeever.
Well, I can tell you, Eddie, that he's going to get the opportunity because Ben Rogers has not made his 5-minute rule, unfortunately for him. So Ben Rogers is out of competition, meaning that Dara Spencer does advance to the Grade 8 and will take on Dwayne McKeever in the last battle of the Grade 8. So here we are. This is going to be a stacked Grade 8, as it always is, Eddie. The Grade 8 is always great, as the name would suggest. Looking forward to all 4 battles in this one. I think Brendan Burke and young Jack Caldwell could be, it could be the surprise battle of that one, because neither one of those guys has any chill, and I would say that there's a good chance of a bit of a smooch in that one as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, judging by Jack Caldwell's previous battle with Kevin Quinn, I mean, he did everything he could to try and take all the panels off the car, so I think that's what we're going to see. That's the side of the bed he woke up on this morning. He woke up and decided and chose destruction.
Well, I know Aidan Caldwell, his dad, and I think he's just going to say, Dad, look, I'm going to spend some money today. I'm sorry, but this is the way that it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't think Aidan Caldwell would have it any other way. So
exactly.
Yeah, motorsport mad family there. I don't
Ryan,
think
the older brother Ryan, of course, a fantastic driver, drove this car with great success, is now having great success in rallying.
Yep.
A fantastic motorsport family, and no holding back definitely there from young Jack Caldwell, and we're delighted to see him coming up through the ranks here, coming up to the junior class in Pro 2 outright as well, of course, and now is all day long the pro driver at the ripe old age of 15, Eddie.
Yeah, it's almost upsetting, Mike, to see these drivers coming through at such a young age, driving such incredibly gripped up and powerful machines, and doing so with barely, not even flinching. It's like nothing to them. And
exactly. He's 2 years off getting his road license. He's 2 years off getting a road license at 15.
A bit longer if I have anything to say about it.
Well, Eddie, yeah, you might. If he goes to you for the test, Eddie, he's in big trouble. I heard you're a bit of a boy out to get past.
I'm strict enough, Mike. I can be strict enough in my day. So here we go. They are on the line. It looks like they're ready to go. Ryusei Akiba and Jakub Kuszczak to kick off the Strong Wheels Grade 8. We are almost ready to go. The marshal gives the order.
Look at Ryusei's car. Wow.
Look at the colours on the grid here. Absolutely spectacular. You'd swear you were in California, but no.
Whoa.
It's Mondello Park.
Look at the
Big
speed.
Gap opens up here. And Ryusei.
Where's he finding the grip? Where is Ryusei?
You've taken the words right out of my mouth. Where is he finding the grip on this circuit? Because he's found grip where
Kuba.
no one else could find it. Now Kuba makes the charge and tries to join the chat here. Sorry, Mike. Do you know what? I took a step back. I think
I'm the
both
same.
of us are there with our jaws on the floor,
Yeah,
appreciating what's going on and forgetting that we have a job to do to try and commentate on that.
I just
Guys,
literally
make some
took it in.
noise for Ryusei Akiba and Jakub Kuzcek. What a run from both those guys. Incredible. And we still have the second half of this battle to come. Incredible stuff.
You look at Kuba there. If you watch in the window there, Kuba, he's on the radio to his spotter there and getting some information about exactly what to do in the next one. But where is Ryusei finding the grip, Eddie? We've seen maybe it's drying up a little bit, and maybe he's just like, look,
you know,
I've no choice here.
regardless of whether or not it's drying up, he's finding grip on that circuit that no one else has been
Yeah.
able to demonstrate, and it's incredible. Every run has been full commitment, big angle, and he's managed to get through it every single time without any problems, and nobody else has been able to do that throughout the day. So they are lined up ready for the second half of this one. It is Jakub Kuzcek now in the lead position with Ryusei in the chase. Could we see the Japanese driver take down one of the championship contenders here? So here we go. Big weight transfer entry here and huge angle for Jakub, but it catches him off as he makes a big straighten now. No problems for Ryusei. Doesn't get put off by it. Looks to make the big dive now down onto the door, and he does so. Almost wheel-to-wheel contact as they come around by outer zone 4. Ryusei has to back up to avoid making contact now. Shoots down the inside, narrows up, dives onto the door and pushes Jakub Kuzcek across the line. Mondello Park makes some noise for Ryusei and Jakub Kuzcek.
Yeah, huge run there from both drivers. And apart from Ryusei missing outer zone 6 there in the chase position, I think that was pretty much textbook lead and chase. You know what, Eddie? I'm not sure what's going to happen between Dwayne and Spencer, but it could be, I'm going to call it now, it could be a Ryusei and Dwayne final. Dwayne just has looked so good, but we have to get through this one first. I'm not even sure who won this one, so I might be talking very early here.
Yeah,
but
look, I think if you're looking at Dwayne versus Dara, at the moment Dwayne has probably looked the stronger over the course of the day, but never rule out the... Before we go to that, just guys, give them a round of applause as they get out of the car. As you can see, Ryusei is absolutely delighted. He's loving it here this weekend. And Jakub, again, look, a championship contender. He's looking so strong. But who's going through to the next stage of the competition? Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Ryusei Akiba!
super popular decision there. We lose Jakub Kuzcek and Ryusei quickly becoming a crowd favourite here already in Ireland. Beautiful to see a Japanese driver coming over and driving with us in our national championship. Very proud of that. And yeah, he's looking good, Eddie. I was speaking with a couple of guys last night who said that he wasn't 100% comfortable with the car last year. They did some handling tweaks coming into the season. He's on a less grippy tyre slightly than the Driftmasters tyre as well. Still loads of grip in this car, as we can see, but the Driftmasters tyre is absolutely incredible. So he's just looking a lot better already, is he not?
Yeah, really showing what he's capable of, and great to see it, because, you know, doubt starts to creep into your mind as a driver when you don't perform, when you have a poor season. So yeah, well, we got to move it on. Jeez, they're coming in hot and fast here now. Brendan Burke to take on Jack Caldwell.
And they'll have seen the tyre smoke from Kuba's burnout there, which means that'll tell them that they can come over the hill absolutely flat here. Brendan Burke with a double initiation, very funny, and it catches him out. Brendan Burke, big understeer moment. Jack Caldwell makes the overtake. Brendan Burke has thrown the battle away, Eddie.
Yeah, he's thrown it away, Mike, and you know what? You were saying one thing while I was watching another. I think it looked like the track was drying, but there's a cloud popping over our heads, and I'm wondering, is there just another speck of rain there on the circuit? It looks as though there might be. Full tilt there for Brendan Burke, and just gets caught out. Jack Caldwell watches from the perfect seating position. He's got front row seats for all of that, and he says, you know what, I'll take that, and I'll take a spot in the final four if I could just make one more clean pass of the circuit.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you can see that rain is just starting to reach the tower, so that's exactly what would have happened, Mike. That rain would have been on turn one coming this way, but turn two if you were running the normal track layout. So clip 1 to clip 3, that rain would have been dropping there, and I think that's what caught Brendan Burke out. So
well, it's just going to give us more drama, Eddie, to be honest, and it's going to make it more unpredictable. So the entertainment factor, the speed might go a little bit down, but the entertainment factor is going to go up, if anything, with a smattering of rain again. So Brendan Burke is at a big disadvantage over it though here, Eddie. I'm not sure if it was a touch of rain on the first corner there, but he did a double initiation. He weight transferred one way, back the other. That's when you initiate usually, but he did it twice, and I'm not sure if he just kind of got a little bit caught up in the moment and didn't make the decision to commit when he needed to.
Yeah, and you know what? He could have been between, split in his mind about how he wanted to enter, and it could have been tentative versus going full ham, and that's often when those little mistakes get made, unfortunately for him. That is the way it's going to...
That is the consequences.
Yeah,
no,
that's the
he's on
consequences,
0.
exactly, Mike, as we look to see them lining back up on the start line, and they are given the orders from the marshal. Wipers now in full flow as they slam through the gears and prepare themselves for another tentative entry, but no, both drivers coming at it hard and fast here. Brendan Burke having big understeer once again. Jack Caldwell manages to hold. There's contact.
Yeah, Brendan Burke is slightly all over the place here. Very early initiation from him there, and it caught him out massively. He's in huge trouble here, Eddie. Brendan Burke is in massive trouble. It's just not coming together for him. And Jack Caldwell has gone off with the victory here, I would say. And Brendan Burke almost leaves the back of his Sylvia on the wall. Still putting on the entertainment, though, in the full rain here now in Mondello Park, as it really comes down now. And it's going to be full wet in the next battle once again. But Brendan Burke there getting caught out by the conditions, and Jack Caldwell, I would say, will take this one, because Brendan there not getting to grips with the run at all, unfortunately for him. But he'll be delighted, Eddie, with a top 8 position. And we can announce, guys, going on to the Final Four, it is, of course, Jack Caldwell marching on to the Final Four to take on none other than Ryusei Akiba, which will be a brilliant battle, I'm sure. And now we have to move it on to the right hand side of the bracket, and it is a man on a mission this weekend. It's Paulius Judicious up against the Driftmasters driver Fionn Roach.
Yeah, 2 more battles in the Grade 8. Paulius and Fionn in the first one, Dwayne and Dara in the second one. 2 spaces in the Final Four up for grabs. Akiba and Caldwell in the first Final Four battle, and it is really starting to heat up in terms of the action, Mike. These drivers, they've been the on-form drivers all weekend so far, and Akiba certainly for me, along with McKeever, looking like the most likely ones to take a final. But don't rule out Jack Caldwell, and don't rule out Dara Spencer against Dwayne McKeever. It's amazing what the prospect of taking down one of the best in the business can do for a driver's confidence, and for a driver who's been, maybe not performing at his absolute best. It just shows Dara Spencer, he's been creeping through. He hasn't been driving badly, but we know he definitely has more in the locker.
Well, he's
the
one
prospect
of the best.
of Dwayne McKeever might just wake him up a little bit.
It might wake him up a bit, exactly. He's one of the best chase drivers in the country. Like I said, I would put him in the top 3 or 4 chase drivers in the country on his day, and that includes the likes of Dwayne, the likes of James Dean, the likes of Jack Shanahan, and Conor Shanahan, of course.
So you'd say he's probably not inside the top 4. He's probably the 5th.
No, but I would say he's within that group in a chase as a chase
yeah,
driver.
He's certainly up there.
You're going to put him in the middle of that group.
You'd put them in the same level of aggression.
Another driver who I would say is a fantastic chase driver, he's in the crowd, is Lee Scott. We haven't seen him compete in a long time, but he's just one of the best chase drivers you're ever going to see. And unfortunately, he's not competing anymore. But we're blessed with that kind of talent in this country. And Dara Spencer is in that group, in my opinion. So let's not rule him out yet. But we are ready to rock with the right hand side of the bracket, and Fionn Roach leads us in over the very wet hill here in Mondello Park, chased by Paulius Judicious, but he doesn't have an answer for the pace of Fionn Roach here, Eddie.
No, Fionn Roach is on the Akiba line, as we're going to call it. Just finds that grip through the first corner. Paulius washed a little bit wide and just couldn't keep with the pace here. And as the wind and the rain batter us here in the tower and batter Mondello Park, Fionn Roach finds something special, and Paulius Judicious finds a little bit of proximity. As we batten down the hatches here in Mondello Park. And
it's just raining sideways into us here in the tower. We're getting absolutely drowned as well here in the tower, as laptops and everything are getting wet. And typical Mondello Park weather, just absolutely unpredictable. And 1 minute the sun is shining, and the next minute you're getting hailstone hitting you as it goes sideways into the tower. So the usual story here in Mondello Park, but we're well used to it, and we are just battening down the hatches here to make sure that we don't lose any equipment. And we are ready to rock for the second half of this battle. The drivers now with full wet conditions, that's for sure. And Fionn Roach will be chasing in Paulius Judicious, who I would say is at a significant disadvantage because of the lack of proximity there in that one. Fionn Roach with a nice lead line as well. So it is going to be big advantage to the Mallow men. Our commentator from yesterday, Adam Driver, is just after coming up with a good idea for merch there. IDS umbrellas. I think we need to definitely manufacture some, but we don't have time to talk about that. Paulius Judicious is in over the hill here, closely followed by Fionn Roach, who is looking to give the judges no decision to make on this one. He's doing a good job of it so far here. He's a little bit shallow. He needs to match the angle. There he is. And unfortunately, just out of my view there, and I didn't have the live stream. I wasn't watching the live stream, and just as we put up the barriers here from the rain, just missed exactly what happened here, but we'll see it on replay. So Paulius is leading us in there. Let's watch this one back, Eddie, as we're battening down the hatches here. So Paulius is around the first corner. Fionn is very, very straight, very straight, very straight. Oh, and Fionn hits him. Did Paulius lose a bit of speed, or was that Fionn's fault? Because you know what? Fionn was at a big advantage for that whole run, Eddie, and has he just thrown it away?
Yeah, difficult one to see. Just on it looked like not sure if it was a slow motion replay or if it was just slow because of the wet weather.
I would say it's the latter, yeah. It's Mondello Park. It's I definitely would like to be racing bikes here in the wet anyway, because it's not the grippiest surface in the world for a drift car, at least when it rains. So watch this. Paulius is making his way around the first corner. Paulius just dialed on the angle. Fionn Paulius dialed on the angle to get out of the corner, and Fionn hit him. So
yeah, difficult one. I mean, it's at that point where you would be dialing on some angle, but here we go. Judge's decision creeping through to us here in the tower. Is it going to be? And it is. It's going to be Paulius Judicious moving on to the final four. He takes down Fionn Roach, and you can see the elation. He's absolutely delighted. Mondello Park, make some noise for the TH Components boss man. Give it up for the delicious Paulius Judicious. You'd never get tired of saying that name, would you?
In suspicious circumstances. No, not that suspicious. I think Fionn Roach just making the dive there. Paulius, that was the qualifying line. Paulius was on. You dial on a little bit of angle coming out of zone 4 in order to get the car turned for zone 5, and Fionn Roach maybe just being a little bit over aggressive there and throwing away his advantage. So it's never over until it's over, and we are making our way very quickly through this Grade 8 as we head for the battle which will decide the final spot. It is, of course, the Northern Smoke Machine, who won't be making any smoke in this battle. It's Dwayne McKeever versus another Northern man, but the Northwest in Donegal, Dara Spencer. And you know what, Eddie? I wasn't writing off Dara Spencer earlier on. I was just saying Dwayne has looked unstoppable. But as I said, Dara Spencer, unbelievable chase driver.
Yeah, but in these conditions, anybody could do it. But look at the gap that McKeever opens up. He's so fast off the line. Dara maybe caught napping, or maybe just couldn't get the traction down in the same way that McKeever could, but he's a huge gap here now. And Spencer at a real disadvantage, trying to claw his way back into it, not cutting the track here, Mike, notably for Dara, as McKeever takes it down onto the wall in front of the grandstand. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for sticking with us if you're still here. McKeever on that perfect line. Spencer now cuts the track to try and gain some proximity through the final sections, but unfortunately for him, just a little bit too late, and McKeever looking really strong in the first half of this one. If you're still here in Mondello Park, really guys, thank you so much. These conditions, absolutely impossible almost to deal with. We're getting absolutely battered in the tower, just like you guys are. Dara Spencer puts his hand out the window as if to say, what am I supposed to do against that? Where did he find the grip? Where did he find the pace? As they head back up to the start line, we are closing in on our final few battles. Will we see at least a break in the rain before we go to our podium later on in just about 20 minutes time? But
I don't know, it's Mondello Park, so probably not, but
no, it'll probably dry up immediately afterwards.
Little bit of driver insight here for you guys. On the right hand side of the track, i.e. on the chase side of the track, when it rains at the start line, there is a severe lack of grip compared to the left hand side of the track when it rains. So the lead cars can actually get off the line an awful lot quicker than the chase cars generally when it rains this heavily. That's why there is a chicane there to slow down the lead cars. But sometimes you just catch a lot of wheel spin on the right hand side of the track. and it is very hard to maintain proximity as the chase car when it gets very wet.
One thing to note as well, a lot of oil dropped on that chase position yesterday as well, and in the rain that could be affecting the traction off the line. Let's see, will Dwayne McKeever have any problems? Looks like he has no issues, side by side with Dara Spencer as they initiate into the first corner. But look at this, Mike. Dwayne McKeever looked like he was about to wash off the track, but he recovers it, just about manages to find some grip to keep himself in control of that S15 as he gets back on it now and hunts down the door of Dara Spencer. And McKeever looking really strong to take that final space in the final four here at round one, Japfest of the Irish Drift Series in 2025. And little Dara Spencer can do in the lead position to stop the charge of Dwayne McKeever as he closes in on those final four positions.
Well,
you
know,
see
Eddie,
that wash, Mike, quite a big wash. But look how well he recovered.
you said that he washed out there, and that's what the top drivers will do. They'll be able to actually just counteract the wash. They'll counteract the understeer. They'll counter it with oversteer. They'll be ready with the steering wheel in order to catch the car again. And Dwayne McKeever there showing why he is one of the top drivers in the world. Dara Spencer is up there with him, that's for sure. But unfortunately for Dara Spencer, that is all she wrote for today. Dwayne McKeever goes on to the final four, continues his march on. So Dara Spencer picking up valuable championship points. I don't think we'll see Dwayne McKeever doing the full championship. I'm not sure we can confirm that heading into round two. But Dara Spencer, unfortunately for him, bowing out at this stage of competition. But there is no shame in bowing out to Dwayne McKeever. So Dwayne McKeever moves on to the grade, or not the grade 8, in fact, the final four, Eddie.
Yes, and that is our final four decided, Mike. So it will be Ryusei Akiba to take on Jack Caldwell, and Paulius Delicious Judicious will be taking on Dwayne McKeever in the final four. What a weekend for him. He's going to be absolutely delighted. Well, we saw the elation when he got the result in his grade 8 battle. But guys, give it up for Dwayne McKeever. Give it up for the short king, Dara Spencer. He'll be happy enough with that one.
And you got away with saying that every time, Eddie, because you're buddies with him. But yeah, fantastic stuff. And I think, is this as far as Paulius Judicious has ever gone in competition? I would say this is as far as he's ever gone.
Yeah, he's never. I don't think he's never been in the final four in a pro category. So a huge weekend for him and the team. They're going to be absolutely buzzing, and it could be a late start in the tyre hangar tomorrow. So maybe if you're around Navan and you're looking to get your tyres, maybe leave it till about 10 o'clock, half 10. Don't be down there at 8 o'clock expecting fresh rubber on your car, because I think there might be a few vodkas shared by the TH Components team after this performance. And who knows, maybe he could go one further and take down Dwayne McKeever. Wouldn't write it off just yet. What a story that would be.
Wouldn't that be the story, exactly, taking down Dwayne McKeever, and the form that Dwayne McKeever is in, the form that he's always in, which is fantastic. So guys, you know, we've seen Dwayne McKeever, if you've watched Drift Masters, we've seen him out on tracks like Riga and such crazy tracks with the mad speed that they have, and he's just always in such control of the car, showing what control he has once again here in Mondello Park in these conditions, in one of the trickiest corners in world drifting, it is fair to say, in world competitive drifting, one of the trickiest first corners to negotiate, because all the visiting drivers that come here struggle with it. Maybe not Ryusei Akiba by the looks of things, but an awful lot of drivers struggle with it. There's a certain technique to get around this first corner, and you can see the trouble that it's causing everybody today. Dwayne McKeever negotiated pretty much perfectly every time, and that is why he's one of the world's best. So Paulius Judicious will have his work cut out, but we have to go to the left-hand side for the semi-final first, Eddie. Yeah,
we certainly do, and as the rain continues to batter us here in Mondello Park, I'll tell you one thing, Mike, I say it time and time again, nobody sees this side of it.
Nobody sees this side of it. It's like the DJing, Eddie. It's all glam and glitz and glam and great gigs and all that, but they don't see you packing up the gear on your own at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and no one left there. In the drifting, nobody sees this side of it. Absolutely drowned wet, frozen with the cold, and just standing around in a puddle of your own.
But you know what can I say to the hangers on, to the greatest fans, you guys who are sticking out these conditions, you know, give yourselves a big round of applause. You're a credit to the sport. That's exactly what we want to see. That is pure dedication. You know, we're cold, we're wet, and we have a gazebo over us. You guys are really brave in the elements, so fair play for sticking with us. We hope you're enjoying the show. We've got 4 more battles to go. We've got our final 4. We've got our third 4-place playoff, and we have our final. And then we'll be announcing the winners down in front of the grandstand. Someone will be going home as the winner of Japfest 2025 here at the Irish Drift Series Round 1. And what a way to kick off the season. It's had it all, Mike. We've had wind, we've had sun. We've not really had much heat, but we've had hailstones as well. And you know what? Mondello always throws up some, difficulties. It just throws up everything. It throws up a lot of challenges for the drivers, for the crews, for the fans, for the organisers. It's never straightforward, and I think that's what makes it so special.
It is indeed. But you know what? For all the difficulties that it can throw up weather-wise, it equals it out and makes more of it with a glory, to be honest, and fantastic battles and fantastic memories.
Well, it sounds like we have tyres warming down at the start line. It will be Jack Caldwell to take on visiting driver Ryusei Akiba all the way from Japan. He has wowed us. He has found grip on that track where no one else has. But now he's got to come up against possibly his greatest challenge at this competition so far. Young Jack Caldwell has stopped at nothing to get to this Final Four, and he will be putting life and limb all on the line to try and take a spot in the final. Could the youngster do it at the very first round? Could he get himself off to the dream start? Well, he needs to get through one more person before he has that opportunity to fight for the top step on the podium. But Ryusei will be looking to do that himself as well. So this will be no easy feat for either driver here, Mike.
Definitely not. It's not supposed to be easy by the time you get to the Final Four. It's not even easy in the top 32, to be honest, Eddie, in Pro competition, Pro 2 competition even, to be honest, yesterday. There's no easy battles in Ireland, but definitely by the time you get to the Final Four, it is a very, very even playing field, that's for sure. Ryusei looks very calculated. He's got that perfect mix of calculated aggression, which is usually the recipe for a win in drifting. Jack Caldwell might have the ability to push it 5% harder than Ryusei, but within that can have the mistake in him, I would say. So this is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be calculated aggression versus maybe aggression that's off the leash, and I'm interested to see exactly which one of these two techniques is going to become victorious, and we're going to know in about 5 minutes time, Eddie, or less.
Well, look at the aggression here from Jack Caldwell right on the back bumper of the S15 of Ryusei Akiba. Akiba once again, Mike, he's finding the grip somewhere. God knows more contact from Caldwell. He just seems to be a magnet to the rear bumper of every other S15 out in the circuit. Ryusei loses the bumper. The photographers have their phones out. Ryusei throws it down onto the wall. The rear end of that car absolutely mangled. And here comes Jack Caldwell hunting down the door, but he just can't find the proximity through the latter stages. Ryusei gets across the line. Guys, give it up for Ryusei Akiba, and Jack Caldwell, well, he's like a battering ram, Mike.
He is indeed, and I saw a lot of smoke coming out of Ryusei's external wastegate there out of the bonnet, but hopefully it's just steam getting kicked up as they went through the puddle of water there. I have a theory as well about Jack Caldwell. We saw this with Kevin Quinn, we saw it with Ryusei. His own car is a little bit battered, it's missing the bumpers and things. Maybe he's jealous of the other S15s.
I think it is, yeah. I think, do you know what? He was missing a few panels. He's like, do you know what? The best way to,
even up the looks here.
The body panels, they can be a bit expensive, He probably rang up Paulius Judicious and said, can you get me a few panels? He said, no, can't get them in time for you. It'll be round 2, round 3. He's like,
so he said, if my car is half wrecked, take them off the other S15s and they won't look better than my car.
So there you go.
That's probably what's happening.
Yeah, he'll come out at round 2 with a really fresh looking car.
Yeah, he'd be better than everyone.
Spent so much time just preparing it, but he just robbed it off everybody else. So there you go. That's
exactly.
a great theory, Mike.
Probably what's happening.
Yeah, I think you could be onto one.
That's why I'm on the big bucks, Eddie, there now. So
that's it. What do you want? You must be on €10 a day now, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm still on the $5 now, so
So we've swapped him around now, guys, and as we said, Jack Caldwell very aggressive and willing to push that extra 5%. Don't think it's going to pay off from there, Eddie. He has to be penalised for that one.
Yeah, and he's calling 5-minute rules as well. 5-minute rules, so we're just hearing that from the marshal here, Sean Healy, letting us know that he's called a 5-minute rule. So back into the pits just to check over that car after the contact, which means we will most likely be moving over to the other side of the bracket, to the other Final Four, which will be Paulius Judicious taking on Dwayne McKeever.
Oh, hang on, I'm just hearing that we actually will be waiting for that one. We're just going to wait for the 5-minute rule.
Okay, so we're not moving on, so we got to wait.
This is where we need the drift train to come in, the 4-car train in over the hill.
Oh, jeez, in this weather?
Maybe not in this weather.
I don't think we have enough recovery vehicles, Mike.
Yeah, we're going to need more trucks, exactly. So we will look at that, though, later on in the season. Possibly we'll have a drift train competition for this part of competition when it traditionally does take a little bit of time between battles, because obviously you don't have as many cars on the grid. And usually they need tyres at this stage, Eddie, but they're not going to need any tyres at the moment, I would say.
Certainly not, Mike. It's certainly not. That's one of the beauties of rain. It does make drifting that little bit cheaper. Not by a whole lot, but by a bit.
By a bit on the tyre bill anyway, at least, exactly. So just we'll just try to hear exactly what's wrong with Jack Caldwell's car there. Again, the intercooler pipes are right inside the bumper. You have oil coolers there. If it's a front rad, you have the radiator there as well, of course. But when the bumpers get taken off like that, the corners of the bumpers can actually go in under the bumper bar and dislodge stuff at times. I wouldn't say it's anything to do with the oil cooler. We'd know all about that, but maybe just dislodge the boost pipe there or something possibly.
Yeah, well, he certainly did hit it a fair whack, so would be unsurprising if there was damage.
We are hearing though possibly leaking oil. Okay, Ryusei is calling 5 as well, so Ryusei is actually leaking oil as well. So we are having a double 5-minute rule here in the top 4. So both drivers using up their last 5-minute rules here in the top 4. So Ryusei leaking oil.
Well, they actually get a new 5-minute rule from the top 4 on. So which either of these drivers, one of them's going to progress to the final. One of them's going to go to the third, fourth place playoff. And if they have any issue with the car at that point, they'll have used their 5-minute rules, so they will be out of a 5-minute rule. So that is actually something for the drivers on the other side of the bracket to keep note of and to pay attention to, because they could have the advantage in that situation.
A little bit of people are going to have no pity for me here, because everybody in Mondello Park is in the same situation. But I bought a pair of Alpine Star shoes, Eddie, for the bike, because they were supposed to be waterproof. They cost 200 quid, and you know what? I'm absolutely drowned. So that's a waste of money.
Yeah, paying for the brand, Mike. I'm just my feet are wet as well. But yeah, Mike, I don't think anybody's going to have sympathy for you.
No, I think the guys out there on the far side are probably in a little bit of a worse situation. I do see the brawlies out there, but hey, the hands up, the guys they're still having fun. That is hardcore fans, Eddie. It's cold here now for April, and it's wet, and these fans are still here.
Yeah, dedicated fans, Mike. They're the diehards, the ones that didn't come just for the car show. They came for the drift display, and
so the heaters will be on in the car on the way home, Eddie.
Oh, there'll be nothing like the
full blast.
There'll be nothing like the heaters. Straight to set it to the feet.
Yeah, just start up the car, put the shoe onto the floor, start up the car, hit the limiter, get the heater warmed up nice and quick, and don't hang back on the RPM anyway to get it heated up.
There's nothing like that shiver just as you're warming up.
There's nothing like putting your foot down on the floor first and then turning the starter and just hearing the limiter being hit straight away with the cold engine. Great times.
Good times. That's what you don't get when you're on the bike, Mike.
No. You don't get the heater on the bike, no. But definitely it will be heater time on the way home. So, you know what? And down south, I'm seeing snaps from my buddies down south, and it is a beautiful day, of course, down south as well.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's been
probably up north as well. It's just Mondello, isn't it?
I mean, look, yeah, it's probably gorgeous everywhere except for here, but it is typical. 2 weeks of sunshine, and you'll be guaranteed that the day that the weather breaks is the day that we have Japfest here in Mondello Park. And I can just see Dean Byrne leaving in the DPT van, so he's obviously getting ready just to deliver my package. He's delivering the car, probably delivering the car to Lloyd Patterson.
Yeah, here you go, special delivery.
Yeah, give me an extra 100 horsepower, please.
Yeah, exactly. Pro's not easy. Extra 100 horsepower, please. Exactly. 100 horsepower in a 2JZ actually probably costs, if you're already limiting your 2JZ, if it's a GTE, which is rare these days, but the extra 100 horsepower then, or 150 to build the engine, probably costs, I don't know, an extra 4,000 or 5,000 euros easily.
I haven't researched it, Mike, because I just don't want to go down the rabbit hole.
You just don't need it, Eddie, though. You're so talented, you don't need that extra horsepower.
No, I'm so untalented that the extra horsepower is a waste.
Lost in you, yeah, exactly. The most I ever had around here was just under 500 horsepower, and at the time, up until the end of 2018, it seemed to be enough until Drift Masters came around. You might have been a bit outgunned that time, but it was enough to be hanging around the pointy end of the Pro Championship. But these days, you know what, Eddie, 500 horsepower, you have to use it very, very hard if you want to be taking any of the battles if it's dry.
Yeah,
in Mondello at least.
In Mondello, yeah, especially in the Pro class. But you see, in the Pro 2 class, a lot of drivers in relatively basic. I won't say basic, but modest, so to speak, E36 and E46 chassis, doing a really good job just getting those cars around and finding really good results. Peter Malloy,
I was just going to say,
outperforming a lot of the higher horsepower cars, getting the grip down straight from the start line, and those cars just so well set up. And it just goes to show drifting can be done on a modest budget. Of course, he's driving the exact same chassis, same setup over in the Winter Series over in Scotland, and he's doing, countless hours of driving. So he's essentially using his practice car as a simulator.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Coming here then into competition, and he's just so at home in that car.
And of course
it's just showing that the proof in the pudding of just a well set up car with good seat time, and you can compete even in a more modest car against drivers that have double the horsepower.
Yeah, exactly. Pro 2 podium for him yesterday as a result. And you mentioned the simulator there as well, of course. You don't have to spend an arm and a leg to get good at drifting. Loads of the drivers, most of the young drivers actually coming through, have spent countless hours on the simulator. And the beauty there is you don't blow engines. And if you do crash it, you just press reset and you go again. So it does get the muscle memory. I find, from teaching it, that all the young guys that come in that have some sim driving, they have the muscle memory, they have all the parts are in place, and it's just a case of calibrating to the car then. So if you want to get into drifting, the number one place to probably start these days is get yourself a relatively okay sim setup.
Yeah, I mean, the skills you can learn on the sim that are directly transferable over to competition, real life competition. It's you could spend thousands and hours, doing it on the track. Whereas you could learn it in an evening or over the course of a weekend on the sim without costing you any money. So it's the initial investment, and then it's essentially, almost free driving from that point on. But there's a lot to be said for it. And it just goes to show when you see the number of young drivers coming through, and the amount of time that it takes for them to become competitive in real life drifting competition is. It's almost minimal.
It's minimal.
They just transition over so quickly.
It's actually easier to drift a real car than the sim, though, because you have the added gyroscope. Essentially, you have the added feedback of your body feeling the G-forces through, and you can feel like the vibration through the rear tires as they hook up, and you can feel the vibration of the engine, feel the RPM, hear the RPM, of course. And it's actually much easier to drift a real car than the simulator. So if you get handy on the sim, chances are you'll go into a real car and say, "Oh yeah, this is actually quite easy." But it costs way more, so yeah, whatever. 6 one, half dozen in the other, as you say, Eddie. So we are just waiting to see if we are almost ready to rock on the 5 minutes here now for both competitors, as we are whittling down the drivers towards the final here in the final four of IDS round one, which has been an eventful one, Eddie, but lots of, it's been a scrappy kind of a day battle-wise, and there's been a lot of mechanical failures, but I'm sure by round two, those drivers will have both themselves tidied up and will definitely have the cars a little bit more, a little bit more finely tuned,
Yeah, that's for sure. The first round is always exciting just because it's nervy. Like, people have had, it's been a long off season. People have a little bit of ring rust, and it takes time to kind of settle into into the competition drifting again and just kind of get back used to driving. And we'll start to see people emerge as championship contenders. Obviously, the guys who get a good start here between yesterday and then today, they'll be looking at moving into round two and keeping the dreams alive. There'll be other guys who maybe finished in top 16, top 8, who'll be looking to, get themselves into championship contention with a good result at round two. So it's an exciting time of year. It's always when round one comes around, and before you know it, the championship season will be almost done, and we'll be handing out, winners trophies.
We'll be at the awards night again.
Awards ceremony again, at the end of the year. So
Eddie, winning or getting a good result in this championship can literally change your life, and this sport has just as a while we have a bit of time here, as a personal viewpoint, it changed my life. So I mean, like Harry Kerr once again got sent out to Oman there, had a fantastic time. Guys who have gone on to win this championship have gone on to have a huge international career, and it can literally change your life. And if you do get a couple of good results and you do know how to work social media or YouTube, whatever, to your advantage, you can actually do this sport for free or get paid to do it. Now, you have to be very good to do that, but there are people doing it, and you can make a career to a point out of it. So it is you can actually chase the dream and make it happen, especially these days if you're innovative and if you've got a good personality for YouTube or whatever, and you can drive as well, which always helps. You can make it pay for itself pretty much.
Absolutely. So we are hearing tyre warming down at the start line. We did see Jack Caldwell making his way back to the start line. Ryusa Akiba already there, ready and waiting. And it looks like, Mike, we may be ready to get the second half of this Final Four battle on the show, on the road here, because, just like everybody in attendance, a little bit of a cool down there while we were waiting, and hopefully we can get these Final Four battles done and dusted and get out the gate and put round 1 in the history books.
Absolutely, yeah. After the last couple of years of Japfest, we did have a smattering of rain, but we definitely didn't have anything like this, and they were fantastic events. So
it sounds like they are coming in over the hill. Jack Caldwell to lead in. Ryusei Akiba, big angle here from Jack Caldwell, lots of speed. Ryusei finds that grip. No fluctuation from Ryusei Akiba at all. Nice transition as he now looks to dive down the inside of Caldwell, who just throws on the anchor and then gets back on the power. But look at this from Ryusei Akiba. Needs to hold back here so he doesn't get caught. Perfect line for position. And then struggles, makes the big dive onto the door, splashes through the floods and the puddles wheel to wheel as they cross the line. Mondello Park makes some noise for Jack Caldwell and Ryusei Akiba.
Yeah, it's good to see cars back on track finally, and Ryusei looking great once again, doing that shallow transition just before the wall there after 5. So I think if he tidies that up, that is the one chink that I can see in his armour, but everything else pretty much fantastic from Ryusei Akiba there. And of course it'll come back to the first run. There was some contact on the first run. There was a little bit of a mechanical issue as a result. Judges just looking through the thing being the replay, I suppose.
The thing, looking through the thing.
The thing being the replay. The technical term for the screens there, looking through the replay. My brain has, I got brain freeze I think up here.
Your brain has left the chat, Mike, I think.
My brain has left the chat as well, yeah. But looking, the judges of course are on headsets just to each other. They can hear each other and they can almost hear each other's thoughts, Eddie, at this stage. And they are in communication with each other. So guys, let's hear your appreciation for two guys who have put on a great show today between the two of them, Jack Caldwell and Ryusei Akiba. You were already clapping before we even said it. Thank you guys, and thank you for staying on here and giving these guys an audience to perform in front of in these conditions. It is very much appreciated, and thank you for supporting our
drifting. So ladies and gentlemen, the decision has come true and going through to the final. Give it up for Ryusei Akiba! Ryusei Akiba moving on to the final. Jack Caldwell going on to the third, fourth place playoff. Incredible stuff. The Japanese driver will have an opportunity to take down either Paulius Judicious or Dwayne McKeever in the final. What a drive from that young man today. He's been absolutely incredible and a very worthy final finisher. It's going to be exciting to see what he can do, Mike.
Well, Eddie, you know, are we seeing the emergence of possibly a Japanese Irish drift champion here, Eddie? I'm not even joking. I mean, if this guy is driving like this right now and he can master the rest of the tracks, this is the most technical track that we have, Eddie. This is the hardest one to master. If he's driving like this and he's got that car dialed, Eddie, he genuinely has that car absolutely dialed. I mean, Dwayne, I'm not sure if Dwayne is doing the whole season or not, but I mean, what's stopping this guy taking this championship if he gets a win here today? He's off to a flying start. He's qualified first. There's championship points for qualifying. He's now in the final. He's going to leave this pretty much as the championship leader. Well,
Put it this way. Let's just say, for example, that Dwayne McKeever goes on into the final. We'll come back to this because the tyres are being warmed. No, we have a second, I think, to say it. If Dwayne McKeever goes on to beat Paulius Judicious, it goes into the final, and Ryusei Akiba can take him down, what a statement that is after the season he had in Drift Masters last year.
Yeah, challenging season.
If you can beat a championship contender in Drift Masters on his home turf, that is a huge, huge statement.
It is. It makes the world take notice, Eddie. The drift world take notice.
And it looks as though we are almost ready to go with this final four battle. It is Paulius Judicious, the TH Components boss man, to take on the Northern Smoke Machine, Dwayne McKeever. One of them's going through to the final. One of them's going through to the third, fourth place playoff. Can Paulius Judicious keep the dream alive here? It's been an incredible weekend for him and the team. This is the furthest he's ever gone in the pro class, and can he go that one step further and fight for the top step on the podium? He's going to have 2 shots at silverware regardless, whatever way it works out, Mike.
It's a big ask, Eddie.
It is a big ask. It's the biggest ask of them all, essentially, here this weekend. But certainly, who knows? You never know.
Well, you know what, Eddie? He's driving well. He's driving like the best I've ever seen him drive. He's looking on form, so let's see if he can do it here. Dwayne McKeever leads us in. Beautiful flick onto angle, over the hill. Oh, Paulius comes in, tries to catch him, but no, the speed of Dwayne McKeever left Paulius with no choice only to flick in hard and late, and it catches him out. He can't get the front of the grip up, and Paulius Judicious falls at the first hurdle. Could not stick with the pace of Dwayne McKeever. Was left with no choice but to fire in the car on full aggression, and it caught him out, Ed.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we talk about it, Mike. I mean, you can dream, and you can never, fault someone for dreaming. But to take down Dwayne McKeever on this track is a task for any driver.
He had two choices there. He had a choice to go out with a whimper, or to go for it and give himself a small chance of winning. And he took the second choice, and it could have worked out for him, but it just didn't. And when you're coming in that hard and that fast, you can kind of, I guess as a driver, everybody has different bandwidth, I guess, in their head, but your brain has a certain amount of stuff that it can think about at any one time. There's a lot to think about just to get these cars around here, but when you see Dwayne accelerating away from you, you can kind of get caught off guard. You're like, whoa, where's he finding the grip or whatever, and you just get caught up in the moment in trying to catch him, and maybe then the actual driving of the car and the making sure that it gets around the corner bit gets slightly put to the back of your mind, and unfortunately that can be the result.
Yeah, great insight, Mike. Obviously from your own experience, having been in situations like this in the past.
What, like I made mistakes at the first corner?
Yeah, well, I wasn't.
Never.
Yeah, no, you're right, Jen. No, I wasn't going down that road, but here we go, second half of this one. Paulie is now with it all to do, washes again, and you can just see, just can't get that front end grip. Is he going to get out to clip 3? He certainly does, but McKeever now looking to make the dive. Look at the proximity here from Dwayne McKeever as Paulie fulfills that outer zone at outer zone 4. Goes a little bit long, going to make the transition tricky onto the wall, but he manages it just fine as McKeever closes in now on the S14.9 of the TH Components driver, and across the line they go. Guys, give it up for Dwayne McKeever and give it up for Paulius Judicious.
Well, Eddie, that could be that one might be quite self-explanatory, and Paulie is doing all that he could. Guys, let's hear a big round of applause as they get in front of the grandstand for the Northern Smoke Machine, Dwayne McKeever, and Paulie is judicious, doing all he could do, but ultimately I think, Eddie, that's not rocket science to see who won that one.
Yeah, look, I don't think we need to break out the dictionaries or the encyclopedias to figure out, or the rule book or any of that to figure out who's going through here to the final. It is going to be Dwayne McKeever moving on to the final, where he will take on Japanese driver Ryusei Akiba. Paulius will take a second punt at a podium, and he will take on young Jack Caldwell. Unfortunate to see one of those drivers will go home without some silverware today, but it is Ryusei Akiba to take on Dwayne McKeever in the final, round 1 of the Irish Drift Series, brought to you by Lucky Day Competitions and Red Bull. As we have a communication issue between the marshals here, just the radio's just not working, obviously, with the amount of rain that's gone through them today, and as we say, electrics and water don't really mix well. So it is Dwayne McKeever moving on to that final, where he will take on Ryusei Akiba, and the dream for Ryusei is very much up for grabs here. If you said to Ryusei Akiba at the start of the weekend that he would be in the final taking on Dwayne McKeever, I think he would have relished the opportunity. I think he probably wouldn't have slept. I think he'd have bitten the hand off you, but he has an opportunity to take him down and beat him.
Well, you know, Ed, just let's have a think about this for a second here. Imagine the roles are reversed. Imagine that you're going over to Japan. You're driving in a foreign championship in a completely foreign country. You don't speak the language. It's not your native language. And imagine that imagine traveling to Japan is a huge thing for most people. Just to go there once in their life is a dream. For myself included, I've never been, and I would love to be, but I haven't gotten there yet. This guy is coming over to Ireland 5 times this year to compete in this championship, and on his first round and his first attempt in the most challenging track, in very challenging conditions, he has managed, despite all the jet lag, despite all the getting the car ready, all the logistics about getting into this championship and having everything right, and his first attempt he's gotten into the final. Imagine the effort it's taken him and his crew to get over here. Imagine the money it's taken them to get over here. And it is fantastic, to be honest, to see him getting rewarded for that effort with this kind of result.
Yeah, and you know what? It's something that we always say, Mike, as well. When you look at the season that he had last year, but drifting, it can be a cruel sport at times, and there's a lot of time and effort goes into trying, firstly, to afford to do it, then to continue to afford to do it. So building the car as the start, but then all of the the mechanical issues that you face, trying to get people to do work on the car, time restraints. There's just so much to it, and
all the giving out from the missus.
Trying to get your partner to. In fairness, I'm blessed. Mine's fairly patient with the whole thing, But and I think that's the same for a lot of people that do it. They have very supportive families and partners that really help. But without an incredible team, there's so much that goes into it, and you can have time and time again. You can be faced with just bad results, bad luck.
Yeah, I had it myself with the rotary for seasons. You know, mechanical issues. You put in all the effort, and it just keeps going against you, and it can be so disheartening.
Yeah,
but then
but
the highs, the highs.
But if you keep at it, and that's it, you have to keep at it. And sometimes it can seem like it's absolute insane, and it's the last thing you want to do. But you know, the bills can crop up. I find sometimes, you know, you get hit with a bill for €1,000, and you can't even think about it anymore. You know, it's like, I'm either doing this or I'm not. So you know, you just have to find the money from somewhere. But on a day like today, when you continue and you fight through it all and you stay resilient and you just keep at it and find a way of keep doing it, drifting finds a way of giving you something back. And sometimes it's a little bit unfortunate because you get a day like this and all of a sudden you're hooked for another 12 months or 24 months and you're pumping all your time and money into it again. But it is an amazing feeling when a day does go right. And Ryusei's having that day, and now regardless, he's going to go home with a smile on his face, but he could go home absolutely beaming because he has an opportunity to take down Dwayne McKeever.
He does indeed, yes. And you know, he had a disheartening season in Drift Masters last year. We did see glimpses of his potential, but you know, I don't think he was fully gelled with the car. And again, they did some improvements, and I think he's really looking comfortable with the car now. And it's just great to see him. And as you said, it's great to see him getting the reward. And as you said, he's gonna be beaming ear to ear. He'd remember this day literally for the rest of his life. The day that, you know, his first round in Ireland outright, and the driving that he did, the result that he did, and the adulation he's getting from the Irish fans.
And to be honest with you, Mike, as well, this isn't just any old event in Ireland. This is Japfest, and Japfest is a huge thing. It's a huge deal, and people around the world, all across the globe, are aware of Japfest and the magnitude of it. You know,
if a Japanese driver wins Japfest, that'd be pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool. But it is Japfest, and it is watched worldwide. Like, we have people watching worldwide the live stream. There are comments coming in there and texts coming in from all over the world. People watch the Irish Drift Series like all over the world, and it is renowned as one of the best domestic championships in the world. I think it was up there in the top three, top two in the world there for a long time. It's probably still hanging out there.
Yeah, look, I think if you take out you know, Formula Drift, and obviously Drift Masters isn't really a domestic championship.
No, that's international championship.
Yeah, international.
Both of those are international championship. Formula Drift is an
You
international.
know, you take those out of the equation, and you know, there's no question that Ireland is up there in. I mean, you know, obviously D1 GP is it's a domestic championship, but it's still, you know, it's the originator of drifting, and it's at a different level as well in some respects, but certainly on a European scale, and I'm just trying to hear, are we getting tyres warming? Yeah, we are for our third, fourth place playoff. But on a European scale, I mean, name another country that has as competitive a championship as we have here in Ireland.
Yeah, in Europe. And the New Zealand championship would actually be very good as well, to be fair, for a domestic championship. But that's on the other side of the world, you know. So
exactly, yeah. But like, you know, what we do here, it travels across the world, and you know, New Zealand hasn't produced the same level of drivers in the quantity that we have managed here in this country. And when you look at the talent coming through the field, you know, we are set for a good number of decades yet with, like, you know, the top level drivers that we have that are still competing.
And one of them is about to make his way onto track right now.
And that's it. This young man, if he decides that he wants to continue in drifting, he's got the family behind him. They've got the motorsport pedigree, and if he wants to, he can go anywhere he wants in this sport. And this is probably step one. And
yeah, and another example is one of our judges' sons there, Conor Falvey, currently a Drift Master driver. So
yeah, well, here we go. It is going to be Paulius Judicious.
Whoa!
Paulius gets it all wrong and opens the door, but keeps it going. Keeps it going, but it's a huge error there for Paulius, and opens the door there for Jack Caldwell to take a huge advantage now in the third, fourth place playoff battle here in Mondello Park. Just 2 battles to go here before we are out of here in Mondello Park. Track conditions, as we say, just became treacherous from top 16 on, and it's been a real dogfight for all of these drivers ever since.
It has been a real dogfight, Eddie. That's a great way of describing it. It's been, you have to reach deep now to get a result today. It's been tough on cars, it's been tough on drivers, it's been tough on the spectators, even with the conditions. So we're all still here, we're all still enjoying it, and it has been a dogfight, but it's been a good one, and I think we're surely in for the best battle of the day yet to come. But definitely there, a big mistake from Paulius on entry, I would say, Eddie. Unforced error just due to the conditions. Fired it in again, went big, go big or go home, and didn't work out.
Look, just could have been adrenaline running through the veins there as well, you know. It's yeah. But look, I think he's going to go home delighted with the result.
Do you think
One
Jack
way or
Caldwell?
another.
Exactly, he will. Do you think Jack Caldwell didn't hit him because that's an S14.5?
Yeah,
he left him alone.
Paulie is kind of trying to confuse them there, but I think he was like, do you know what? I'm not going to be confused by that.
No,
I know what's going on here.
I've got an S15. This isn't. I'm going to let this one alone.
Yeah, yours is only an S14 trying to be an S15.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who do you think you're trying to fool?
Exactly. Yeah. So he left him alone
rookie
that
mistake there from Paulius, trying to fool a young kid like that.
Yeah. No, he knows the story.
Yeah. Yeah, he won't
knows.
make that mistake again. So here we go, second half of this one. Paulius to chase in Caldwell.
Caldwell with a more tentative entry.
Look at
Paulius.
the snapped angle from Paulius Judicious.
Wow. Very entertaining, but ultimately his undoing there. Paulius firing the car onto angle. Beautiful initiation up to the point of losing it. So not working out for Paulius. Now both drivers back into formation here. Jack Caldwell getting stuck on angle. Back on the line now nicely, drags the handbrake to settle the car into outer zone 6. Paulius looking for the pocket here, but I think it is going to be too little too late for Paulius as they cross the line, and that is our third, fourth place playoff, our second last battle of the day in the bag, guys.
Guys, give it up for Jack Caldwell and give it up for Paulius Judicious. Both drivers making it as far into the competition as I believe they have ever been, Mike. That is incredible. So good to see.
Yeah, so we do have a decision, Eddie, on that one. We will hold off on giving this decision until we are down at the podium in about 10 minutes time. So we do have a decision on that one. So we'll get both drivers down to the podium, and we invite you guys in the crowd. You're more than welcome. Come down to the podium, celebrate with the drivers, check out the cars, and it is always a good time on the podium.
So, Mike, one more battle to go. It is the final battle of the day at round one of the Irish Drift Series 2025, brought to you by Lucky Day Competitions. It is Ryusei Akiba, the Japanese visiting driver, in his second ever time competing on this Mondello circuit, taking on the Northern Smoke Machine, Dwayne McKeever, as the sun comes out, pierced through the clouds to light up the circuit for the final run of the day. We are almost ready to get out the door, but we have one more job to do. We have to crown a winner here in Mondello Park. Who's going to take the silverware? Who's going to take top step on the podium? Here we go, Akiba to lead in Jack. Oh! What do you believe in both drivers?
Both drivers understeer. Both drivers understeer. Both drivers cannot stick the pace in. Ryusei absolutely firing the Sylvia in. Dwayne couldn't stick the pace. Then Ryusei understeers. They're back into formation now. Ryusei flipping the car back as they hit the limiters right here in front of us. The noise is incredible. You can feel the power of the engines through the ground. Oh, wow, look at Dwayne McKeever pushing over the line.
What have we just seen, Mike? What have we witnessed here in Mondello Park? For those of you who stayed in attendance to watch it, have we seen the undoing of Dwayne McKeever by Japanese driver Ryusei Akiba?
Oh, Eddie, I think it's all to play for. I think it's all to play for, Eddie. I mean,
this is definitely all to play for, Mike. Everything is up for grabs here. McKeever will be absolutely disgusted. He'll be... you can see by the way he's driving back to the start line, he's unhappy, Mike. He's going to be like a dog with a bone here now on the second half of this one.
Did you see Ryusei coming around on the cool down lap there? He pushed the front of the car. He deliberately understeered it around outer zone 4 there in order to clean the tyres and just scrub them to try to get some heat into the tyres. Great technique there by him, but both drivers understeering it, and I would say that one mistake almost cancelled out the other. So I think this is actually very, very level, despite the fact that there were two huge mistakes.
Yeah, two huge mistakes, but two separate huge mistakes as well. So this is, as you say, wide open. And I don't know, as the sun comes out here, a little bit of heat comes into the day. What did we say? The sun will come out just as we're finishing up in typical Irish fashion. But we've got that one run remaining, guys.
Get
your camera phones out, because this one is going to be electric. Everything up for grabs, and McKeever will not want to be beaten here. He's going to be rattled coming down the straight here, and Akiba is going to be wound up because he has an opportunity to take down one of Ireland's best drivers ever in Dwayne McKeever. Who's going to take the top step on the podium? Will it be McKeever? Will it be Akiba? We are about to find out as the engines roar as they leave the line. They slam through the gears. Here we go.
Yes.
McKeever, big angle into the first corner. McKeever. McKeever turns on too much angle and he washes. Is that his opportunity lost?
He holds it, Eddie. He holds it. How did he hold it? He's back on the door, McKeever. How did he hold that? He's right back into formation. He's inside in McKeever's door. McKeever switches it back again. Akiba looks for the door. McKeever, he finds it. He's pushing him. He's literally pushing him. Contact.
Safe.
Safe.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Dwayne McKeever and give it up for Ryusei Akiba!
Wow.
What a final!
That was worth all the rain. That was worth all the cold. That was worth waiting for. What
Ladies and
just
gentlemen,
happened?
if you stayed for the final, you got an absolute treat. Mondello Park always delivers.
You know what, Eddie? The only people I envy here, or don't envy here, sorry, are the judges. What do you say about that one? What do you say about that? Guys, can we hear massive round of applause for Ryusei Akiba putting on the show for us here, and Dwayne McKeever, as always. My God, Eddie.
So, ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, we will be delivering the results for our final four in front of the grandstand. Stay with us and celebrate with the drivers. What a show they have put on for you. And for those of you who stayed with us, thank you so much. This is what this sport is all about. We love the support that you give us. We love the support that you give the drivers as they get out of the cars. Give it up one more time for Dwayne McKeever. And give it up for Ryusei Akiba! And I can announce that we do have a decision. So join us in just a moment for the podium ceremony.